Hello, all.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. This is Wednesday,
Wednesday night,
March 14th. And
March 14th.
March 14th.
March 14th.
Yeah. So we got a lot in the chat already. Look at this. XJ. This is a new person.
March 14th.
X. Did we say March?
You said March.
Oh, May.
It's May.
I was worried about the day.
I was waiting.
I was
waiting for the correction. But we didn't quite get it. Sometimes you got to tease out those corrections.
I was thinking of the day. I wasn't thinking of the month. Okay, excuse me. May 14th.
Yeah, don't wanna mess up too many
2025.
people,
No,
huh?
no. Okay, wow. We got a lot in the chat already. This is a new person, ExJWFriends.
Wow.
Denounce.
Wow.
Welcome.
Well, yeah. There are a lot of people out there that, well, Rick notices it all the time,
Oh,
doesn't he?
yeah, more and more people coming on his program.
Rick
We're talking
Fran
about,
from
yeah.
his program of the 6 Screens of the Watchtower.
It's on Saturday evenings.
Mhm.
They start like 6 o'clock, 6:30 sometimes. And yeah, Danette, I'm thinking of having a group of XJWs meet up here in Lake
Oh, that's nice.
Elsinore. Any ideas how to go about it? I don't have Facebook or Instagram. First of all, where's Lake Elsinore?
What state?
Yeah, what state is Lake Elsinore? Okay, John Marciano, Rebecca, and Shauna, of course. Thank you for helping us. Let's see, Jane Spitfire. Hi, Jane. Nice to see you here. Ruby, thank you, Ruby. Ruby's a moderator. Dallas, Jeannie Jewel. Hi, Jeannie. And ST Copilot, Dallas, and Jay. We're going to see Jay this weekend. Faded in San Diego. We're going to see Faded. And who else?
So the question was, how do you set up a meetup?
Meetup. Maverick. Well, there's different ways you can do it. Wild Wall. You have any suggestions?
Well, first off, you can find out where there are meetups
Mm-hmm.
in your area or anywhere.
Del Real Love, California. The Real Love. Okay.
It's in California.
Is that where it is?
Elsinore.
Elsinore? Okay. Adrian Mully. Hello,
Hi,
Adrian.
Adrian. I better get my glasses.
Okay, yeah.
So how do you set up a meetup?
Well, if you don't have Facebook, I know Del Real Love puts on meetups. Jeannie Fester. Hi, Jeannie. I didn't realize we have so many Jeannies. Yes, we do. Jeannie is new. Jeannie called us this week. And she is out. And Felicable Beauty, I called you back, but you didn't pick up either. So we'll talk a little bit about the meetup. So how do you start a meetup? Well, it's kind of hard without, well, there is a meetup app. First of all, you can get on Meetup. Go to the app. You may have to pay for it if you want to put out meetups. If you're just looking for meetups, I don't think you have to pay for it. I can't remember how much it is a month. There's a Meetup app.
Oh, no.
Yeah, we did it once before. Maybe it was $20 or something. I can't remember.
Just go on.
But they don't have Facebook. So yeah, the App Store. And if you know some friends that are near you, you can just
Facebook. Well, can you get Facebook? It's
Well,
not too hard.
No, but they may not want to. I don't know. They said they don't have it. You can get Facebook if you're willing to go that route.
If that makes it easier, huh?
Yes. I'm near there. Del Real Love. Yes, you're in California and you've put a couple of meetups already.
Wow.
So maybe we should just, well, first of all, we
So
have,
you can give her my phone number.
oh, okay. Del Real Love. Okay, we will do that. And that was, I don't know if we have this person's, let's see, who wants to put the meetup on? Was that
Someone in Lake Elsinore.
Yeah, Lake Elsinore. Who was in Lake Elsinore? We just read through these really quick. Oh, all right, Danette Lewis. I'm thinking of having a group of XJWs meet here in Lake Elsinore. Any idea how to go about it? I don't have Facebook or Instagram. Okay, Danette, do we have your phone number or contact information? This is what we can do. You contact us, and maybe in a minute, in a little while, Shauna will put it up on the screen. Our phone number, our email. You can text us, call us. We'll get you in touch with Del Real Love. She's out in California, and she puts up meetups. To call Joe and Fran after the show, 315-221-0130. We are Eastern Standard Time, or you can email us at jandfgarino@gmail.com. Thank you, Shauna, for putting that up there. So if anybody wants to know where any meetups are, or you want to get in touch with anyone, let us know. We'll connect you. And also, maybe right now would be a good time to go to our website. So Shauna, when you're able, our website is called ExJWFriends. Okay, so it's ExJWFriends, there's chat, live stream, and more. Okay, so this is the first page. Oops, internal server error. Okay. There we go. Okay, upcoming events are on the left-hand side. So the meetups that we know about, we post them. It's Del Real Love, send Danette my number. Okay.
Sean asked if Danette's on Discord.
Oh, okay. Yeah, if you're on Discord, Danette, we can get in touch with you there too. So let's go down the meetups for May. Whoops, I think we were going to were we going to start at the top, Shauna? Under Friends. Okay. So this is under construction. You're not alone. We're here for you. Friends, therapists, and life coaches. So far we have Malia Thompson, Elle Reno, Shannon, and John. And you can click on each one of those and it tells a little bit about them and their services. There's Dr. Ryan Lee and Reverend David Stamball and Jamie Bond. And we don't have Gary's picture up, but Gary Alt, Michael Shumwell, and Halima Butler. And also Aubrey Cruz. And we're going to have more to list. This is under construction. So this is under the Friends at the top of the website. Okay, so that's brand new. Okay, Friends, therapists, and life coaches. Then on the first page are the meetups. So on the left-hand side, there's Saturday, May 17th, Meetup Orange County area, California. If you click on that particular one, it'll give you all the details. And then May 18th is going to be our barbecue meetup. Okay. Oops. Okay, XJW barbecue meetup. You tap on that, it'll give you all the information you need to know. It's actually a weekend. There's a music festival on Saturday the 17th. 18th is going to be the barbecue meetup. 19th, we're having breakfast, and then those that want to go mining for diamonds, we've got a diamond resort near us. Diamond mine.
Mine. Park.
Park. Yes.
Camping place.
Yes.
Everything.
Yes.
It's big.
Yes. So that's going to be on Monday. So that's all under the XJW Excellent Chicken Barbecue Meetup. Then on August 1st through August 3rd is still alive in 2025. XJW Convention. Rick Fearon is putting that on. in Tewksbury, Massachusetts. If you click on it, you'll get all the information there. And then September 26th, so you can plan ahead, Las Vegas, Nevada, ex-Jehovah's Witness meetup. And that's a 2-day event. And then October 2nd to October 7th, there's a 5-day cruise on a Carnival Firenze. So those are the meetups that we know about. How do you say that?
Firenze?
Firenze. Carnival Firenze.
Don't know.
Mm-hmm. Here's our meetup and all the details. So you can go on this website, ExJWFriends, Fixing My Faith, that's us, and sponsored by Vern and Shauna. This is a video that we were interviewed by Justin. There's a Discord. There's 18 members online. So if you want to chat with people or talk to someone specifically, you can go to Discord. Okay. There's also some PDF documents, Shunning the New Hate Crime, which was written by our brother-in-law, David Podos. And then Changing Culture Statement. That's the statement that Stephanie Lynn Carson and 2 other people put out. So you can check that out. The birthdays, you want to do some birthdays?
Well, go ahead.
Okay. Birthdays this month. We have on May 1st, Linda James, a pasta babe, and also Just Jen's daughter. May 2nd? Want me to keep going?
Oh, you're doing good.
Okay, May 2nd, Chloe, 3 years old. That's Dinah Loss and Wes's daughter. May 3rd was Ruby Quinn and Vicky Diaz. May 4th, King Tony and Ismael. May 7th, Julie, who is Justin's fiance. May 8th, Jimmy Bell, Tara Mears, and Marcus Vaughn. May 10th, Owen Havens and Rosie. It's her first birthday out of the organization.
Wow.
Yeah. May 13th, that was yesterday, Ken Mayo and Kelly Scott. Let me know if you want to jump in.
Oh, May 14th,
Thank you.
Deborah Wentworth. May 16th, Sarah Kay and Heather. May 19th, Gary Sloan. May 20th, Sam. And also Calvin Plasson. May 21st, Asha. And also Kathy D. May 22nd, Yvonne. May 23rd, Mandy May. May 24th, Jaron B. May 29th, Pete Yuck. May 31st, Marsha Moorhes.
Happy birthday. So let us know if we missed any. We try to keep up with them. I look on Facebook, Limerati.
Yeah.
So let us know if we missed anyone.
Happy birthday! Happy birthday!
Oh, yes.
Hmm.
Faded is asking about the Thruway. Anniversaries this month. May anniversaries. Tony and Robin Pidio, 51 years. Kevin and Marissa on May 10th, 22 years. And May 20th, Sparky Slag and his beautiful wife, 31 years. May 22nd, Humble Bum. May 30th, Ben and Debbie Rancourt, Tom and Becky, 14 years. And David and Marcella, 39 years. Happy anniversary.
We're about to have a beautiful time. To throw a party tonight. Hey, it's been a really long day for me. I should be living my life. Hey, because time won't wait for me. I ought to throw a party tonight. Hey, Me and my friend, and I be happy that I made it. Yeah, to the end of the day, that's right. So I guess I throw a party tonight.
License.
Right.
I think.
That's, I think
I'm
that's how
really
they
not
do
sure how
that.
it goes for us. You got to Google
Well, no,
that.
he's going to have a rental car.
I don't know how that works.
That's a good point.
I really don't.
And Thomas, my wife and I just celebrated our 25th anniversary last Monday.
Happy anniversary.
Well, happy anniversary,
Yes, glad you told us.
Thomas. What day was that? So last Monday, not this past Monday. Let's see. Would it be the 12th or the 5th? If you can put it in the comments, Thomas, we can write it down and make sure we, I need a pen. You got a pen?
No.
I'll get one. Okay. Yeah, let us know what day and we'll put it on the website. So San Diego is going to be in New York on Friday all week. We're having barbecue because he's coming so that we can meet all the friends that are
Good
local.
question, how to move for rentals.
So he had a question. Just curious. I noticed Highway 90 is a toll bridge. Yeah, that's our throughway.
Yeah.
Does anyone know if it's a pay as you go or if you need a pass? Well, it used to be where you could pay right at the little entrance.
Okay, I'll read it right
Oh,
here.
good.
Here's what News 10 Brennan Summer found. If your rental doesn't have an easy pass, overhead gantries take pictures of the tags and the throughway bills the registered owner of the car, apparently. So the registered owner. Rental companies will then pass that along to you, probably with an added fee. Says many already equip their vehicles with Easy Pass, transponders, and add-on. That can also bring surcharges.
So they'll pick it up and then they'll charge the
Apparently,
rental.
it states e-toll fees standard. If you use the e-toll service at any time during your rental, you agree to pay a convenience fee, $5.95 for each day on which you incur a toll, up to a maximum amount of $29.75 per rental period, not to exceed 30 days. In addition, you will pay a toll, all tolls incurred at the maximum prevailing non-discount or cash rates posted by the toll authority. I think any way you go, it has you covered. It makes sure you're going to pay.
Yeah.
So I guess the question you could ask the rental company if they have the transponders on the vehicle, or just how they handle the tolls. But it sounds, even if, for example, if we didn't have an Easy Pass, the overheads take a picture of every car that goes by, boom, and they keep track of it all.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, computer, AI, and cameras.
Yeah, if you have any other questions, San Diego, just let us know.
Yeah.
We'll try to answer them. But we look forward to you coming. Okay, so anyway, did we miss anything? Looking in the chat, Joe and Fran, I enjoyed your interview from a couple weeks ago, ST Copilot. Oh, ST Copilot's birthday was, was the 6th. Shauna just saw it in the chat. Thank you, Shauna.
Oh.
So May 6th, ST Copilot. We got you down. And on the 12th was Thomas Hudson and his wife. Hodgson.
It's
Okay.
DG?
DG. Hodgson. Thank you. 25 years on the 12th. Okay, if we miss anyone, let us know.
Yeah.
Okay. We're glad to have so many new ones.
Yeah. Yeah.
We've had a lot of new calls since we did the interview with Justin, and some very helpful
Mm,
connections, very
Yeah.
helpful.
yeah.
And if you want to connect, we wanted to start a new support group for CSA,
People
How
that
would you
have been
say?
abused.
yeah, people that have been abused. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyone that would be willing to talk to someone that's been abused, because we're getting a lot of that. And there's only 2 of us. So if you would like to, let us know, because we could sure use all the support.
Yeah. And frankly, there's little that we're personally going to do. This is where the ones are stepping up now. The ones who've been the victims are stepping up, and they're going to the authorities. We just received the direction that the best thing they can do is call the Attorney General and ask to speak to an investigator.
Mhm. Especially for Pennsylvania.
For Pennsylvania.
That was specifically Pennsylvania.
And tell them, and just tell them your story. Name names and dates.
Yep.
And your voice, your sharing it openly to them is what's going to put the brakes on these things. Because, see, for so long, the Watchtower and other religions have gotten away with it because they scared their people into not going to the law, because they held over their heads the idea that it would bring reproach to the organization. Well, actually, what they're going to the authorities is what you should do. And you're not going to be guilty of anything for doing that. It's your responsibility to do that. Otherwise, what they're doing, they're really getting you to keep it secret. They're getting you to help them hide that criminal act. And all they're doing, the organization, the elders, and governing body, all they want to do, they want to protect the organization's money, not the organization's, not the members. They want to protect the money by keeping it out of the press and out of the legal system. They don't care. They don't care about the members. They don't. They're hiding it. They're hiding the very actions that they, and many times, the elders are guilty of these crimes. It's worse than people want to admit, and it's so bad that the members don't want to even acknowledge it if it's true, because it's so distasteful. It's so shocking. They don't even want to think about it, and so the victim goes uncared for. And it's time to step up, and the victims are stepping up, and for anyone else who knows about it too.
Yep.
I think we're going to see some big changes take place.
Mm-hmm. Did you want to go right into the
Yeah,
video?
yeah, got a great video.
I know
See what you think.
I know Annie's backstage, but if you can just hold on, Annie. We just have a 14-minute video about the Great Deception.
Yeah.
Who benefits from my choice? That moment, when you start to question, really question, is when the spell starts to break. Because the greatest deception of modern society isn't control through force, it's control through illusion, through the comforting lie that you are already free. But real freedom? That begins only when you stop mistaking the menu for the meal. Picture this. You wake up, check your phone, scroll past a motivational quote. You have the same 24 hours as Elon Musk. Suddenly your mind starts racing. Emails to reply to, tasks to check off, goals to chase. You feel behind, even before brushing your teeth. Welcome to the productivity trap, a world where busyness has become a badge of honor, and your value is measured not by who you are, but by what you produce. Society applauds the grinders, the hustlers, the ones who never stop. We romanticize burnout and glorify sleep deprivation. We chase milestones not because they fulfill us, but because we're terrified of falling behind. The message is clear. Your worth is tied to your output. But who decided that? Since childhood, we've been conditioned to chase gold stars, good grades, promotions, likes, shares. We internalized a dangerous equation. More doing equals more value. And over time, it became our reality. Not because it's true, but because it's repeated so often that we stop questioning it. And here's the twist. The system is designed this way. The more insecure you feel, the more productive you try to be. You buy planners, apps, and online courses. You hustle harder, thinking one more achievement will finally bring peace. But peace never comes, because the bar keeps moving. Track your steps. Doing nothing is laziness, unless you can rebrand it as mindful recovery. Purpose, without an agenda, just exist. But the truth is, you are not a machine. You were never meant to operate at maximum efficiency every hour of every day. Nature doesn't bloom all year long. Why should you? Productivity culture masks itself as empowerment. But in reality, it often reinforces a quiet slavery, one where you willingly chain yourself to tasks, convinced you're free, where rest becomes guilt, and stillness feels like failure. This isn't just a mental trap, it's a psychological identity crisis. We're not addicted to work, we're addicted to being seen as useful, to being validated. But if your entire identity is built on being productive, what happens when you stop? Who are you when you're not doing? Here's a radical thought. You are already enough. Even when you do nothing, even when you're still, you don't have to earn rest. You don't have to justify being. Existence is not a performance. You are not here to meet a quota. The most revolutionary act in a world addicted to hustle might just be doing nothing on purpose. So the next time your mind whispers, "You're not doing enough," answer it gently. Maybe I'm doing exactly what I need to, because freedom isn't always loud. Sometimes it's the quiet moment when you realize you've stepped off the treadmill and the world didn't end. Who are you? It's a simple question, but try to answer it and watch how quickly your mind reaches for labels. I'm a student. I'm a manager. I'm a mother. I'm creative. I'm introverted. I'm ambitious. We speak in titles, roles, and traits as if they fully define us. But where did these identities come from? Did we choose them? Or were they handed to us like uniforms on the first day of school? From the moment you're born, the world starts shaping your sense of self. Your gender is assigned. Your culture is stamped onto you. Your name is whispered over and over until you internalize it as me. You learn what's praised, what's punished, what gets love, and you adjust accordingly. You become what's accepted: a good child, a smart student, a hard worker. Little by little, the real you is traded for something safer, more palatable, a version of you that fits neatly into a world that doesn't like mess or mystery. But here's the thing. Identity isn't discovered, it's constructed. And modern society has become a master architect. Social media, education systems, advertising, they don't just reflect who you are, they tell you who you should be. You scroll past filtered faces and curated lifestyles, and somewhere deep inside, a quiet voice asks, "Should I look like that too?" You wear clothes, not just to stay warm, but to say something about yourself. You buy a phone, a car, a coffee brand, not just for function, but for identity. You speak a certain way, follow trends, and post updates, because, whether you realize it or not, you're constantly announcing, "This is who I am. Please believe me." It's not your fault. We all do it, because we've been conditioned to think of identity as a product, something that must be marketed, polished, and liked. In a world driven by algorithms, your sense of self becomes content. Every photo, every status, every story is part of the performance. You're not just living, you're curating a narrative. But what happens when the performance becomes the reality? What happens when you've played the role so well, for so long, that you forget who you were before the script, before the mask? Here's the unsettling truth. Most people never meet their true self. They live and die inside roles crafted for survival, not authenticity. They confuse who they are with what they've been told to be. But every now and then, maybe during a moment of solitude, maybe in the middle of a breakdown, the mask slips. You catch a glimpse of something raw, something unpolished, a version of you that doesn't need to impress or prove. That's the real you, the one beneath the noise. It doesn't mean you must reject every role you've taken on. Some identities serve a purpose, but when they start to cage you, when they silence your deeper questions, that's when it's time to ask, who am I without all this? Try this. Sit in silence. No music, no phone, no distractions, just you. Ask, if no one was watching, what would I still care about? What would I still love? What would I stop doing? That's where your real identity lives. Not in your job title, not in your bio, but in the quiet knowing that you're more than the roles you play. You were never meant to be a brand. You were meant to be a human. And the most liberating journey you'll ever take is the one back to yourself. We love comfort, the soft bed, the hot shower, the instant food, the one-click delivery. A world where you barely need to move, wait, or wonder. And why wouldn't we love it? Comfort feels good, safe, familiar. But beneath its warm blanket lies a cold truth. Comfort can be a cage. Because comfort isn't neutral. It shapes us. It dulls our edges. And when overindulged, it begins to numb the very instincts that lead to growth. Take a look around. Every innovation is designed to reduce effort. Why walk when you can ride? Why cook when you can order? Why talk when you can scroll? In the name of efficiency, we've traded friction for fluidity. But friction is where change happens. It's where muscles grow, minds stretch, and identities evolve. The illusion of comfort tells us we're thriving, while we're actually just surviving in a padded room. Everything is made easy, except the things that really matter. Growth still hurts. Truth still stings. Real connection still takes effort. But when you've been fed dopamine on demand, even slight discomfort feels like pain. We lose our tolerance for silence, for challenge, for boredom. And in doing so, we lose the ability to sit with life, to wrestle with it, question it, reshape it. Comfort doesn't just protect us from danger, it protects us from awareness. Why reflect when you can binge? Why confront your emotions when you can numb them with noise? Why risk the unknown when the known is so comfortable? That's the real danger. Not that comfort makes us lazy, but that it makes us content with less than we're capable of. You stop dreaming, not because you don't want more, but because what you have is good enough. You stop fighting, not because you've won, but because the couch is too soft and the screen too bright. And here's the scary part. The system knows this. A comfortable population is a controllable one. When people are fed, entertained, and distracted, they're less likely to question, to resist, to wake up. Comfort pacifies rebellion. It smooths the rough edges of society into a quiet hum. So no, comfort isn't evil. But unquestioned comfort, that's a slow anesthetic. It lulls you to sleep while life passes by just outside your window. The antidote? Choose discomfort. not recklessly, but deliberately. Do hard things, not for the result, but for the reminder that you can. Sit with boredom, question convenience, break the loop. Because real life, the raw, vibrant, unpredictable kind, lives just beyond the edge of comfort. And maybe, just maybe, the life you're truly meant for is hiding in the place you've been avoiding the most. At some point, in the midst of all the noise, the screens, the opinions, the goals, the roles, you begin to feel it. A strange emptiness, not loud, not dramatic, just subtle, like a room that used to be filled with music but now echoes with silence. It creeps in during quiet moments, when you're driving alone, when the movie ends, when you're lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, and the distractions finally go still. That's when it whispers, "Is this really me?" Because somewhere along the way, you forgot. You forgot who you were before the world told you who to be, before the schedules, the labels, the identities took over, before success became urgent and authenticity became optional. This is the tragedy of the modern mind. We know the price of everything, but the value of nothing. We can name celebrities, stocks, trends, but struggle to name our own needs. We live in a world of hyperconnectivity, and yet we feel deeply alone with ourselves. Why? Because we've abandoned the self, the real one, the one behind the masks, the child who once stared at clouds, got lost in drawings, asked questions just for wonder's sake. The version of you that existed before the algorithms, before the applause, before the world taught you to perform. And the worst part, we didn't even notice it slipping away. Modern society doesn't demand that you forget yourself. It simply keeps you too busy to remember. From the moment you wake up, you're plugged in. The calendar tells you who you are today. The phone tells you what matters. And the world applauds the version of you that's most useful to it, not necessarily the version that's most you. But here's the truth that no one profits from telling you. You are not your productivity. You are not your opinions. You are not your profile. You are something far deeper, a living, breathing consciousness, with dreams that weren't sold to you and feelings that don't need to be filtered. And the way back is not through achievement, it's through attention. If this message resonates with you, consider subscribing to the channel. Here, we dig beneath the surface, beyond what you've been told, to uncover what truly matters. If you're on a journey back to yourself, you're not alone. Let's walk it together. Now back to your forgotten self. Reconnecting with it doesn't require a complete life change. It starts in small, defiant moments. Moments where you choose to sit in silence instead of reaching for distraction. Moments where you write, not to post, not to impress, but just to feel your own thoughts again. Moments where you say no, not because it's efficient, but because it's honest. And perhaps most powerfully, moments where you do nothing and realize that you are still worthy. Because the self doesn't shout, it whispers. And to hear it, you must slow down. Step off the stage, close the tabs, turn down the volume of the world so you can finally hear your own voice. And when you do, something miraculous happens. You remember what you love, not because it's trending, but because it lights something up inside you. You remember what you fear, not because someone told you to avoid it, but because it holds truth. You remember what matters, not for status, but for soul. You start asking deeper questions, not what should I do next, but who do I want to be when no one's watching? And in asking, you begin to reclaim your humanity. You begin to feel alive again, not just surviving, not just functioning, but being. And slowly, the illusion begins to fade. The stage freedom, the performance-based worth, the productivity trap, the curated identity, all of it loses its grip. You wake up, not just from sleep, but from the trance of a life you never truly chose. And in that waking, you become dangerous. Dangerous to systems that profit off your disconnection. Dangerous to narratives that depend on your obedience, dangerous in the most beautiful way, because a person who knows themselves cannot be controlled. They don't chase, they choose. This was the great deception of modern society. But now you see it. And once you see it, you can never unsee it. Welcome back to yourself. We've missed you.
Okay.
Something to think about. Each statement had something meaningful to consider, and everyone's going to pick up on something. It takes it from the attitude of the you before you were what you couldn't remember. In other words, if you were born in, so to speak, and if you were raised from infancy in a cult, an organization, then maybe you never had any other self. But even then, and we, in talking with different Bornans, you even hear them saying that they had thoughts of other things, but for themselves, but they turned aside from it. They buried it, put it on the shelf. They decided to put it off until the after Armageddon or something like that. Put it in the future, but not now. The point is that they talked about that being their true self. And the point here that the truth that they claimed is not truth. It simply isn't truth. It's a fantasy. So whenever time they said this is the truth, it was a fantasy. It wasn't real. It's not true. It's not true. So you're left with this idea that isn't true. Well, you may want to consider there really is no truth. The only truth there really is that matters is you, the true you, or the true me, as opposed to me acting some role of somebody, some manufactured role that someone made for me now that I've got to practice and put on, like the new personality, which is not you. And now you become it. But it's not you. It is not you. See, the true you lies in your decisions to be who you are. That's the truth. That's your truth. That's it. Because otherwise, frankly, you're really living an untruth. You're living an untruth. If what they taught you was, quote unquote, the truth, it's really not the truth. It's really fantasy. You're living a lie. Well, we all did that to some extent. Most everybody realizes, this isn't me. I'm talking, this is even people who haven't been in the Watchtower organization or any other, you can take on roles that aren't you, even in the big, beautiful world that we all live in. There's so many people doing that. They're chasing careers. They're chasing money. They're chasing power. They're chasing glamour. They're chasing notoriety, chasing status. But why is it really them? Well, in many cases, it's just something that they heard and it attracted to them. And now they're being encouraged. They get into a position to be encouraged. But it's really not me. It's not the me that's deep down inside that I really like to be. Well, for some, maybe it happens to be. In which case, for them, well, they're living their truth. For some, but for most, what they're really doing is fulfilling some social role, because society needs role players. It needs role players. So what they're going to do, they're going to talk you into and sell you into taking on a role. And they start tracking you from birth. And we have to be something. But if we're not who we are, we're probably not going to feel fulfilled. We may excel at it,
Right. But it may not be us.
but it does. I'm not happy with it. Why? Well, because it's not you. It's not the true you. So if someone were to ask you, oh, I see you this, and I see you do all that, and you say this, and you say this. So I see that's really you. That's everything of you. That's who you are. Well, there's more to me than that. Well, what do you mean there's more to you than that? See, maybe they're hiding what they really are because, it doesn't make money, or people don't, they don't reinforce it for me, or they don't accept me if I'm that way, or I don't feel, I don't feel very secure if I do that around in the environment that I'm in. I do that, and I feel like it's they don't want me to. They don't, but it's not me. It's really not me. Like it said, like the speaker said, that in the quiet of your room, with no sounds, just you'll tell yourself the real you. Question becomes, do you pursue that, or do you squash it, push it aside? And the question becomes there too is, what consequence is there for doing that, for not living your trueness, your trueness? Because the reality is, if you project that role, can it be said that you're really being true to someone else, to others? Are you living the true, or are you living a version of something? So someone looking on and say, "Oh, that's so and so. They're this. They're just that." Are you being truthful? Are you being honest, or are you just living a role? Now, we all know that the Watchtower knows how to place those roles on people. And if a young person doesn't take it on, do they get accepted? Do they get accepted?
No. No.
Do they go out to all the parties, and do they get all the commendations? Are they spoken of highly?
No, they're not. No, they don't fit in.
No. Okay, they don't fit in. So only if they fit in will they get the praise, commendation.
Like if you're a pioneer, or an elder, or a ministerial servant, or an elder's wife, those roles.
Yeah, pick a role.
They get rewarded.
So you can pick one of those. There's so many different roles. Say, if I do that, then I'll be someone that they'll recognize, and then I'll feel good about myself. Will you be your true self, though? And can you get away with it? And can you be true to another person or the persons if you're avoiding who you really are? Well, a lot of people try to get away with it. They really do. And A lot of people do it deceptively. They try, in fact, a lot of criminals do exactly that. They sneak into a congregation, pretend to be something that they're not, slyly weave their way around individuals, and they commit crimes on them. They abuse them in terrible, horrific ways. Were they being their true self? Wow, I guess they were, but they were hiding it from you. They got you to think their true self was a theocratic person, but they're not. They're hiding their true self. Well, okay, that's in a criminal sort of way. Well, at this point too, there's others in the congregation, and the society knows this. The governing body knows this. There are many in the organization that aren't being true to the organization. They're called PMOs. They're physically in, they're mentally out. They don't want to be there. I understand it completely. But the governing body does not want them there. They don't. But there's reasons why they'd rather not project their true self, because they know they might very well get hurt. They might very well lose something. And I understand that.
Yeah, someone just said, Yul Platt's film says you have to be a privileged one in the congregation where Jesus died for sinners. We have two people backstage.
Anybody want to come
Annie
forward?
and Felicity.
I appreciate it. I want to give some of my perceptions.
Hi,
Hello.
Seth and Annie and Felicity.
Welcome.
Hello.
What do you? Welcome.
In case you want to know how to join us, just go to the live chat, and at the top where it says Fixing My Faith in the black and yellow and blue, just tap on that and you'll get to come in the on the stage here. And you don't have to show your picture like some do and some don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, because this guy looks terrible right now. I just noticed that.
No, you don't look terrible.
We'll bear up. We'll bear up.
All right, sounds good to me.
Thanks for coming on, Seth. This is your second time on. You kind of
Yes.
popped in last week.
I did. It was so encouraging to see everyone here and listen to the discussion.
Yeah. Yeah. What are your feelings on it? Any of you? Yeah.
So I've had a little bit of Wi-Fi problems tonight, so I don't know what all has been covered and what all kind of hasn't. But I was very much so nodding into agreeance there to a few of the last statements about how almost fake you have to be sometimes. Although you put on this theocratic face, and I know I sure did.
Oh, yeah.
I know I sure did. And I honestly did believe a lot of it. There was a lot. It was fake. And it's like, hey, I have to move forward. I have to advance. I have to do this because that's what's going to make people, that's how I'm going to have friends and, keep my family, safe and everything. So it was very fake in the same way. It was one of those instances where it's like, well, you know better, but you have to go along with it. And you see the hypocrisy, the straight up hypocrisy around you. And it was a scary place to be. In the same way, it was the most comforting place to be, because that's obviously what the leaders want you to feel. And they do project that on you. You do feel comfortable in a lot of instances. And it was a scary feeling, but also a very comforting feeling.
Yeah, it's like a trap. You're looking for acceptance, but you realize you may not be projecting your honesty.
Exactly. Couldn't be authentic.
Yeah. It wouldn't get accepted.
Right. And then I know that I projected that onto my immediate family, the authenticity. I would project that onto them. For example, if my wife made a choice of clothing, oh no, you can't, oh no, or something. That's her authentic self.
No, no.
I would project what was projected onto me. I would therefore continue to project that.
Yeah. They knew what they were doing. Now we know what they were doing.
Absolutely.
And now we choose not to. Yeah. Well, thank you, Seth. Anyone else have something? Annie and Flickham?
Hello.
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 I'll be getting one of the ones to bed soon, so I figured I'd jump on. I'm home tonight, which is nice. I often get the later part, but today I get the early part, which I was so excited to see your website. I can't wait to go on there. It's gonna be so helpful. I didn't know about. I don't think I knew about it. Or to the extent that you've done the work that you've done on it. I was just feeling like the little video that you shared had like it's like summed up like my week, or anyway, it deep dived into my week. But a conversation I had with a text an hour ago with a family member. It's an ongoing conversation, and they are in fully, but they are very much open to medical freedom and understand the corruption in the government. And they're like they were saying sometimes it feels better to be in the dark or not know. Like it's more. I was saying, yeah, it's more comfortable. And I forget what I said, but I'd rather personally be aware, because that's where growth comes, when you are aware of things and you can heal. That's the direction I'd rather go in. So it'll be interesting to see how that person responds back. I'm proud of that person for, like really deep diving into like getting some really deep books and doing the research. They haven't made the correlation with the religion, but I see a lot of hope there, and people are on their own journey. So it's nice that with some of my relatives, I can have conversations and respect where they're at. And then others are shunning us. Like I had one come by the house and it wouldn't even come into the house and say hi to the kids. That really hurt. So it's all over the place with our family. But it's important that I feel like it was validation, and it was a really good, strong video. So thank you for sharing it.
Yeah.
Thank
You're
you,
welcome.
Felicity. How about Annie? How you doing, Annie?
Or anyone else?
There's a question someone just sent me, texted me. They said, sorry to interrupt. I can watch the program, but can't access chat or StreamYard. It's usually just there, but neither are showing on YouTube on either my iPhone or iPad tonight. Has anyone experienced this? So I asked her if she's on Fixing My Faith, because there's two ways that you can view this. You can view it on Fixing My Faith, or you can view it on Joe and Fran Garino, because we have our own YouTube. If you go on Joe and Fran Garino, you're not going to see the chat or be able to get on StreamYard. So if you go to Fixing My Faith, Joe and Fran, and go to the live, then you should be able to, unless someone else is having problems with it.
Yeah, you have to go to the live.
Yeah, Fixing My Faith, Joe and
Look
Fran,
for the
and the
live.
live. So try that, see if you can get on. Oh, I know when we were first waking up, talking about being authentic, right away, our whole attitude changed. And our children picked that up. And they said to me, one of our daughters said, "Mom, you're kind of blah." And I didn't know what she meant, but she said, like, you're not zealous like you used to be for the truth. And I didn't want to come right out and tell them at that point, but I said, we just are learning things and researching things and, checking other things that we want to devote our attention to. So they didn't like that because, right away we were not being loyal to the governing body. We weren't being loyal to the organization. And our other daughter said, when she called us, because we have 2 daughters and 2 sons, and she said, well, I have one question for you. Do you believe that the governing body is God's spirit anointed on the earth? And Joe and I, at the same time, we were on speaker, we both said no. And she said right away that, well, I won't be able to speak to you anymore. We won't be able to have any conversation. So, right, it's like, are you going to be your authentic self, or are you going to try to put on the mask like they were showing in the video?
And
See,
I
what's
mean,
interesting about that is when I left, my wife and I, we left very loudly. We didn't slowly drift. I went from being full-fledged in it. I was, working my way up the ladder, so to speak, very loudly. I left abruptly. It was a here I am and then here I'm not issue. And it was so interesting to see how the difference in people coming to you slowly. Are you leaving? They're not asking those questions. They just see, oh, you're gone. And the difference in the way people treat you from that moment, it was really, really interesting to see. But it goes back, like you said, your authentic self, being that authentic self. So I left really abruptly and loudly.
Jane is wondering, did Seth fade or send a letter?
Oh, no, neither one. I left very quick. My wife actually left about a month before I did, and I was very awful to her. I was very awful. I would call her an apostate at first, but she said, no, listen, I'll tell you though, what really started the downward spiral. We're not too far out of it either. We're just been around 2 years, something like that. Whenever they came out with the video of that, they said it's okay to have beards. And I'll do my Stephen Lett impression. It's okay to wear beards now. But she did that, and that struck her wrong. It struck her totally wrong. And she said, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing this anymore. And so that gave me a chance I actually got her mother and father, as well as myself, to kind of gang up against her. And I feel awful about that. And, that's what spiraled. And then a little bit, not too long after that, she was saying, hey, look at this. Just look at this. No. I'm still doing this. And finally, it creeped into me a little bit, and I started looking up things. 607, 1914. How that can't be. And from there, without 1914, it snowballed, and everything made sense. Now I was like, oh, this is not the place where I want to be, and this is and then I realized how much of a cult following it is, how much of a cult following being on the inside is, and so we left. When I found out what I was supporting was wrong, it was a quick leave. It was very fast.
Yeah.
So did you send in a disassociation letter?
I did not. I don't have any family on the inside, so I have nothing to lose.
That's good.
To me, sending in a letter for me would be giving them permission. I'm asking them permission to leave, basically.
Yeah.
And I have not, but I don't want to be on their roster either. So it has been something I've been personally battling with, whether I should do that or not. My wife still has family on the inside, so she's a little more careful. I don't care how they treat me. I'm out. I've got better family now. Thank you, Joe and Fran. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Seth.
And we all do too, Seth. We all do too. And you're part of it. Thank you.
Okay. How are my clothes? Oh,
Hello?
come in the room when I'm talking. Sorry. No, I just thank you for sharing your story, Seth. That was wow. I mean, we went the slower route because the pandemic made it easy for us.
Right.
I don't think, I think if it hadn't been for the pandemic, maybe it would have been fast, because you just, when you go into the meetings regularly, and I don't, like I said, I don't really, I've said this before, I don't even think I could go to a meeting without either laughing or scoffing. Like, I couldn't keep a straight face. Anyway, so I probably would go fast if it wasn't for the pandemic. I don't know, but that's really hard though, because you can't, it was nice that I could have the time to process and really research and then process that and all the different steps that I went through. So I thought I'm amazed that people can't go fast, because it is hard on the emotional state, and that's amazing that you did that.
It's really different for those, for me, like I said, without family or anything on the inside. The family I had in it were my grandparents, and they died back in 2019 and 2018 or something like that. So it's been quite a few years. So after that, really, I had the spiritual family, and that was all I had. And I married, I married obviously another JW at the time. So it is quite different. And so leaving fast was a no-brainer for, I think, both of us. My wife had been questioning for years, years and years and years, and she's been questioning. And it was when she decided to depart, I was against it. I was totally against it, because I'm supporting this, but I didn't really believe it either. So there was
That's so funny.
that issue.
Well,
It
your
was
wife
the
is
cult
smart.
following. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was the cult following.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I see that. It's funny. Like, the more I think, even today, after what happened to me, how that person can take money, help from us, like for employment, but can't even say hello to the children. And I mean, I understand there's others, like their brains process it differently, and they're like, they hide from situations, that's their personality. But I'm like, that it was so hurtful. And oh yeah, you can make jokes on a group text, like about like another family member, and talk about other people in your family, but yet
Absolutely.
you can't like say hello to like your the children. Like, really, you couldn't have given
Right.
10 minutes?
It's
Like, it
terrible.
And
really,
what really
it was-
bothered me even more than that was my wife and I, we'd be in the ministry or whatever, and we'd be talking, and we'd be with a group of these very loving people. But the minute that someone disagrees, or they say, well, I have my own religion, and I'm practicing this, can I pray with you? Oh no. And then they go back to the car, and after sitting there talking about how they're God wants you and this and that and the other, the witnesses in the car would sit around and start talking bad about the person at the door.
oh,
And that
I
really,
hated
and
that.
I would join in on that
Oh.
conversation. And that's just like, why this fake love you put on, the fake love for family, the fake love for the people at the door. And I'm not saying everyone had fake love. I certainly didn't all the time, but I would also make fun of the people once I got back to the car group. It's mind blowing.
It was. I didn't like it when people like judge people, like, oh, they have a big house, they must have a house cleaner, and they don't see their kids, and like they went on about it all. I didn't like that. But I mean, I guess we're also trying to people are trying to make it themselves feel better, because some people don't have much, and I understand. But yeah, I hear you.
Yeah.
What do you suppose motivated the people in there? We'll call them the friends loosely. That motivated everyone to kind of play along, because
The culture, the tight knit.
Well, what was the motivation that kept that knit together?
I think, Joe, it was a video that you showed like a few months back, where like there's smoke in the room and everybody pretends they can't smell it, and it's there. I just
Okay.
think we all just kind of went along, because if they think this, it must be right. And if 10 people think that, it must be right. This must be the way to think and communicate.
So what's the risk of someone disagreeing? What would happen to that person?
You lose your family, you lose the friends, you lose, and it may not be you're gone. It's they just won't include you anymore in
So it's
certain.
no acceptance. In other words,
Yeah.
you're not going to be, yeah. So, I
Yeah.
mean, the powerful, acceptance is powerful. If anyone's there, they want to be accepted. Nobody wants to be there and, everybody's turning a cold shoulder to them, even if it's subtle, like you said, Seth. Humans
nobody
don't
wants
like that. Humans don't like the, lack of acceptance. We need acceptance. No, but so this desire, this need for acceptance, it forces everyone to put on the act.
And as strong as what I am in leaving today, and as strong as I am in my decision, like I said, it's been 2 years almost. And when I get lonely or sad or depressed, that's one of the first things I say, you know what? I should just go back, because of the family arrangement you felt. Not that it was real, by no means was it real, but you felt, okay, I feel part of something, because that's the human. That's the human.
Yeah, we need a certain, I mean, we're not hermits. Being a hermit isn't necessarily healthy. Now, some people live as hermits, and if they're healthy, so great for them.
Hi, Jeff. Hi, Fran. Hi, Joe.
Hello.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, is this finally?
Finally free.
Finally
free. Hello, finally.
Yeah. We spoke earlier today. I just wanted to tap in. I don't have a lot of time to spend, but I just want to say I totally appreciate you guys' comments and honesty. I remember also being in the car groups and like people judging so hard when we would go to certain territories. And the truth is, the reason why they were judging is because they wished it was them, and that's really what it boils down to. I remember in certain territory, they would call certain houses dog houses, because when they would go, only the dogs would be home. And the thing is that, like, as you guys have brought out on your channel, it's not money that's bad. It's the love of money. And it was just a very interesting conversation I had with my mom, who's totally PMO, and she's exhausted. She's in her 70s. She's newly diabetic. And, I'm here, I'm trying to take care of her. And, she's like, I'm discouraged. And I'm like, why are you discouraged? She's like, because I haven't gotten my field service time in. I need to do 100 hours. And I'm like, Mom, don't you think Jehovah God wants you to be alive? Your sugar's so screwed up. You're not checking it. You're popping, caffeine pills to keep yourself awake. And I said, your sugar could be 300. Who knows? Or it could be 60. Who knows? And you're worried about, writing letters. She's like, I was assigned a 9-floor building and there's like 30 apartments on each level. And I'm stressed out. And I'm like, Mom, you're stressing yourself out. And so, like, I think when you're in it, you don't see it, you're struggling. But, what I was told is, oh, you're depressed because you're not praying enough. Not to mention that I have major depression, or you're not keeping in your spiritual routine. But then the more you get in the spiritual routine, the more depressed you get, because you have no life, no interest. I can't pursue any of the gifts that Jehovah gave me, nothing. And that's why I'm stressed out. You know what I mean? And because you keep dogging me when I go to the hall and my kids don't sit still. That's why I'm stressed out. So I told my mom, I was like, listen, Mom, I said, I'm not ready to go back, and be reassociated. And you know why? My kids were sexually abused. I was trafficked in the organization. I said, let me tell you this. I can guarantee you 3 things. I'm going to take care of myself. I'm going to take care of my kids, and I'm going to take care of you. And I said, that's more of a guarantee than you've gotten from any of your kids that are serving where the need is great and mooching off of you. So that's my testimony.
So good. That's
so my testimony. I just want to come and testify.
Thank you for sharing that. Yeah.
Thank you. Finally free.
Good for you. Yeah. Love your name.
Yeah, we just met finally free. When was it? Yesterday or the day before?
Yeah, I'm finally free. Yeah, I was actually trafficked from like 16 till last month, and my kids were abused, and I had to get out. Yeah, I was trafficked in the organization, sex trafficked.
Oh my goodness. I'm a little bit in shock. It's something that I don't know a lot about. I mean, that word is very strong, and I'm understanding it more. Joe has brought a lot of awareness to this, but
Yeah, so sex trafficking by definition is being purchased or forced to have sexual acts against your will. And the trafficking means that it happens in multiple places across state lines. So, like, when I would hear, let's go serve where the need is great, I was really being told, we're going to send you to this hall, to this brother to do this thing, or this sister to do this thing. That's what I mean for
Oh.
sex trafficking. It was
Yeah, I was trying
horrible.
to understand it in the organization.
Yeah.
That's I'm
Yeah,
more
you get
aware
trafficked.
now, but
Yeah.
not wow. This is actually very new to me. I have to process this, but wow, I'm so sorry. That's
It's
awful.
okay. I'm free now, so it's okay. I'm free now.
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
in a safe space now where she wasn't in a safe space before.
Wow. And wow. Okay.
Finally, do you think people have a hard time believing this?
No, because it's more common than people think. They just don't talk about it, and they don't know the terms for it because we're not taught to educate ourselves. So
Okay.
you might think that it's an isolated event that, you know, brother so-and-so or sister so-and-so, but when you put your story together, you realize that it is actually a sex trafficking and underage sex trafficking because it started when I was 16.
So,
Now,
so
I will say, as someone else, because when I was coming into the cult and being a part of it, I was without that drama. I didn't understand any drama in the congregation. In fact, I was left out of those circles. So hearing some of that would have, before I left, been so shocking to me.
Mm-hmm.
But since then, the numbers and the amount of things and listening to us, my wife, she's a fifth, I think she's a fifth generation or was a fifth generation. She's her family has been in this for hearing their stories and hearing how wrong things have went. It's not shocking now, but that if you would have said that to me, 2 years ago, I would have been absolutely dumbfounded and shocked and probably called you an apostate and a liar and everything else too. But that's what I was trained to do. So that, yeah.
Finally, if you can kind of lay out what you think the future timeline is going to be for what you're trying to achieve.
The future timelines are the state that my trafficking occurred mostly is under severe scrutiny from the government. I've reported it to all of the authorities. Certain positions that active JWs have inside of the governmental offices where I filed are trying to stop it. So I've had to reach out to state representatives to usurp that.
Wow.
So I don't really know of a timeline for my particular case, but for my children's case, which is in a different state, I'm thinking maybe 6 months, 6 to 9 months.
So there is action taking place then.
Oh yeah. The perpetrator was my ex-husband. So yeah, it's finally getting taken place. The police are involved. Law enforcement is involved, and actually law enforcement's the one that's keeping me and the children safe from different members in the organization.
Wow, well, that's good.
Yep.
Finally, you had told me that the different elders were actually paying off these different.
Oh yeah, they were
agents.
paying off the attorneys to bomb the case for my daughter. Yep, they were paying off. They paid off 2 attorneys that I know of. Yep.
So what is the congregation trying to protect?
Their reputation.
Right.
Yeah, they don't want to bring reproach on Jehovah's name. That's the key words that they always
That's
say.
the mantra, but that's not what it is, because the thing
No,
is
it
if you
isn't.
handle it while it's small, it can get dealt with. Law enforcement doesn't want it to be big either. Just get the person to turn themselves in. If they don't turn themselves in, then disfellowship them. I mean, there's so many different ways to do that, but so many good people are getting kicked out, so there's only bad people left.
So essentially, they're hiding who or what?
They're hiding the abusers.
Do you think the abusers know that?
Absolutely. He's
Do
been
you think
coached.
do you think the abusers in a community know that they can find that kind of protection in Kingdom House?
Okay, so that's a loaded question. So my ex was from a different country, and so what he was practicing, we consider it which we consider it child molestation. Where he's from, it's a form of witchcraft, which should not be practiced if you profess to be Christian. So whenever he didn't think he could hide inside of the organization necessarily, he just thought that, hey, it's acceptable over there, it should be okay over here.
Uh-huh. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. What he was
Yeah.
doing, we consider it molestation, which it is, it's rape, but he considered it witchcraft.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, there's the perception, and you think about this. Those
But what he knew, he didn't know necessarily he could hide the abuse, but he knew that the organization's so misogynistic that if he painted me as crazy or mentally ill, that he could get away with it. And that's what he did. So for a long time in the organization, I didn't know, behind my back, they were saying that I was like schizophrenic and bipolar and different things. But my suicide attempts were all related to my abuse.
Yeah.
In fact, my most recent suicide attempt was just a little over a month ago. When I was trying to get to a court date, and I needed somewhere to stay with me and my kids. It was out of state. I went to all of the friends' house. No one opened the door for me. I was told they were told not to open the door for me, which meant that if I didn't have anywhere to stay and somehow I didn't have access to my bank accounts, which don't explain how that happened, I was forced to drop my kids off with my ex that I knew would abuse them. And once I did, and none of the friends opened the door, I ran in front of traffic on the highway.
Wow. I'm glad you're getting attention.
Yeah.
So what would you recommend for anyone else who's in your position or finds himself in that position?
I think a person just needs to really understand that regardless of what you're taught, what we're taught from the Watchtower, when you read the actual Bible and you read that Jehovah's a God of love, and when you read that he says that the worship that's acceptable is to look after orphans and widows, and when you're reading that he says he wants all sorts of men to be saved, you have to take that to heart and realize that safety comes first. Safety comes first. You have to put your safety first. Jesus died for us, but he doesn't just want us to give our lives away. And the other thing to meditate on, I feel like, is the situation in Sodom and Gomorrah. You know, everybody says that Sodom and Gomorrah was destroyed because these wicked men, and it wasn't. It was destroyed because of the child abuse. If you really read the account, it said old man to young boy. Sodom and Gomorrah was destroyed because of the child abuse. So you have to understand that if you are associated, you know what I'm saying, with an organization, any organization that doesn't have at least policies in place to protect children, to protect whistleblowers, you're not going to be safe. You're not going to
So
be safe.
so again, what do you recommend? What would you
You got
recommend?
to get out. You got to get out.
Well, okay, you can simply get out.
Yeah, you've got to get out. You've got to leave because trying to fight within the inside, they're just going to fight you.
Understand? Well, do you keep it to yourself or do you tell someone?
One thing I was told by law enforcement is don't talk to anybody that doesn't want to see the perpetrator go to jail. And so you've got to interpret that your own way.
So you would talk to the law enforcement.
Exactly.
Okay, so in other words, what I'm trying to get at, in other words, if another person is in a congregation, something happens, what should they do?
Oh, you should speak to law enforcement. The
Thank
first
you.
thing actually you should do when a person is abused is take them to the emergency room. That's the first step. Now I know where you're headed. You need to take them to the emergency room. And the reason why you go to the emergency room, no matter when it happened, is because they'll do something called a SANE kit, which is also a rape kit. And you need to take them to the emergency room and get it documented. You have to.
Right.
That is the first step. I wouldn't call the police first. I would, no matter how old it is, even if you're like 80, go to the emergency room first. Get that
Good.
medical certification from those doctors. Tell the doctors your story. Once you go to the emergency room, ask for the police to come to the emergency room. Ask for them to come and do the report from the hospital. That's very important. So first, go to the hospital. Second, get the police to come and do the report. Third, you get the social worker to set up a safety plan to ensure that you are nowhere near your perpetrator. And then the next step would be restraining orders.
Yeah, you've done
Those
your
steps are
homework.
really important. Those steps are really important. Emergency room, police at the emergency room, safety plan by social workers, restraining orders. Very important. You got to
This
go to
is
the hospital because the
this
police
is
can't examine you. You got to go to the hospital. You have to go to the hospital. No matter, even if they say it happened last year, it doesn't matter. Take them to the hospital.
so. Just to be clear, this is super practical and super helpful to do those things, but yet that doesn't happen that way in most cases in a congregation, does it?
No, because you're guilted into thinking that you're bringing reproach on Jehovah, but really what you're doing is you're creating a culture of of um, of broken kids.
Broken kids normalizing that's normalizing the molestation and
Yeah,
with
it's
the
normalizing it.
broken kids.
Yeah.
It's so in other words, the victim doesn't want to be a part of normalizing it. They can inadvertently just be because they're being
And if you're a
guilty.
sister that comes forward, the first thing they're going to do is they're taught to assess your sanity first.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you make it past all of their schemes to either prove you crazy or drive you crazy and you're still standing, you know.
Now, who would assess your sanity or try to assess your sanity? The congregation,
Sometimes
the
they
elders?
put like, sometimes they'll put like pioneer sisters to be like your friends. All of a
Okay,
sudden you'll have
okay.
these friends
Yeah,
and
you're
they're
talking
really just
about within the
assessing your sanity.
You're
Yeah,
talking
they'll
about
assess your
within the
sanity.
congregation.
Yeah, within the congregation. Yeah.
You're not talking about the law or
No, no,
no.
Yeah,
No.
maybe.
And
no.
within the congregation there, not only if you're a sister, if you're a married sister who goes forward, because this stuff that happens in marriage all the time. If you're a married one who goes forward, well, they're going to talk to the husband, and they're going to talk
Oh,
to the husband too.
absolutely.
And so
Preach on that.
that's another issue.
Yeah, and it
That's
was my husband that was doing it, my ex-husband that was
Yeah.
doing it, and they were
that's a
forcing
big
me.
problem.
And the people that were helping me to get out was like the bailiff. You know, the bailiff in court was like, "Is your religion forcing you to stay married to this guy?" The attorney that they paid off, the first one was like, "You might want to find a new religion." I didn't know what they were talking about.
So finally, if I can just interrupt, because we had this conversation without going into a lot of detail, because this started when you were very young and you didn't know any better. So you trusted the elders and you went to the elders, and all the elders did was to keep it, make it seem like you were the crazy one.
Oh,
right?
yes. Mhm.
And no one ever went to the police back then, right? Because this
No, they did not.
right. So what you're talking about now is your experience with your own children that you've
My own
learned.
children, yeah. That's what
Right,
helped.
but-
That's what woke me up.
Right.
That's what woke me up.
But when you were being trafficked,
Abuse. Yeah, I
molested,
didn't, when I was being
you didn't
trafficked,
know.
I didn't know the better. I just thought that it was just my persecution or whatever. I didn't link it all together.
Yeah.
And it was someone that was saying they were like a spiritual mother to me. So that's what was so traumatizing.
Your voice and your story.
Yeah, I was homosexually raped for like 7 years.
Yeah, you're voicing this can be so helpful to the many that are in this situation.
I just noticed.
Yeah, and when she finished what she did with me, it was so confusing because I didn't know what the status of our relationship was. Was I her daughter? Was I her girlfriend? Was I a
Sure.
dog? Was I a
course.
plant? I was like
Of course.
stripped of all identity.
Yeah.
I was stripped of everything. I didn't have anything. I didn't know who I was.
Wow. You've been through so much and you've come very
Yeah,
far.
and we really appreciate you coming on the program and
But
helping.
for the record, I can say the one thing that I do appreciate from the teachings, I never got involved in substance abuse, and I think that was the main thing that saved me from actually really completely using it. I never developed
Understandable.
a drug problem, so I really want to thank my creator for that. Come on.
That's that's your
Bye.
faith. That is your faith. It was your personal faith that.
Yeah,
that's
I
happened.
never got involved with that, because if I would have
Yeah.
gotten involved with that, I probably wouldn't be speaking so clearly right now.
You're right.
Yes.
You're right.
Yeah, and just to let the folks know that you are going to school to be a what?
Oh yeah, I have a bachelor's in public affairs, bachelor's of science in public affairs.
And what about the paralegal?
Oh yeah, and a paralegal. Yep. Well, I already have that degree, so that's what saved me when they were taking me to court, was my paralegal degree,
Wow. Wow.
because I was able to represent myself.
Wow. You're doing beautifully.
You're very well
Pasta
spoken.
Babe, are you there? Hello?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here. I
Oh,
just
I'm
yeah,
sorry.
I'm just trying to. I got my kiddos, but yeah, and like I said, I'm not against anything. All I'm doing is I advocate for child sexual abuse victims, and it doesn't matter where they come from. It just so happened this is my experience. I don't have anything against anyone personally. In fact, I forgive everyone, but you've got to get help. So let me just reiterate the steps. No matter when it happened, go to the emergency room.
Very
Go
good.
to the emergency room. Step
Very
number
good.
1. Step number 2, have the police come and fill out the report in the emergency room.
Emergency room.
Step number 3, you want to get a safety plan while you're there in the hospital so they can ensure that you're not going to be around your perpetrator. And 4, restraining orders. And restraining orders, let me say this, they can be used at Kingdom Halls. So like when I had a restraining order against my ex, they have to honor it, and he was not allowed to come to that hall.
Wow.
So you guys need to know that when you get
Very
protection
good.
from abuse and you show it to the brothers, they have to honor it. That person cannot come to that hall. Mommy, my leg, please. Oh. Sorry, my daughter cut her knee. She's having a
Oh, take
issue.
care of
So I will
yourself.
Be
I will
careful.
jump
Thank
back
you.
in
Yeah.
later.
Okay.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Pasta Babe, welcome.
Hi, how you doing?
Hello. Good.
We're
How are
doing
you?
good.
I was just listening to her. She said
Yeah.
four, I forget what that's called again, restraining orders. And I'm sitting here wondering, why do we want 4? So when she comes back with it, let's ask her.
The restraining order?
Yes, I believe I heard her say we want 4, or she was talking about getting 4 of them. Am I correct? Did I hear
Yeah.
that right?
A restraining order. That was so that the
Her
perpetrator
ex-husband.
wouldn't be at the same hall as she was.
Okay.
I think she said step 4. Step 4.
Oh, step
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm thinking 1 would work with what you just said, Uncle Joe. So thank you so much,
I'm sorry.
Seth. Step 4, the restraining
job,
order. I'm
Seth.
thinking, why do we need 4 restraining orders? Okay.
Oh,
It must
I
be for a
see.
really good
I
reason.
Oh my goodness.
And I totally have to
Thank
know
you.
why.
Thank you for the clarification.
Well, if it was 4 abusers,
Yes.
maybe you need 4 restraining orders.
Yeah, there
Yeah.
was one that she needed the restraining order.
This is so very helpful information. And what
And I
we're
think
going to
yes.
go ahead.
I was going to say, she kept saying over and over again, get to the hospital. Get,
Mhm.
you know,
Get to
make a
hospital?
report, get to the hospital.
Report at
And
the
to me,
hospital.
that makes, yes,
Safety
that's
plan.
you're
Yeah.
making a proper paper trail.
This is so
And that's
helpful.
super important. Yeah.
And this
Number 1,
this
go to
is
the
where
hospital.
this is where we're going to help spread to others.
Number 2, after go to the hospital, then you call the police,
Police
right?
at the hospital. police report at the hospital.
Oh, you can report at the hospital. Okay. You don't
At
have
the
to hit
hospital,
the
she
police.
should
Okay, you can make
sure
both
that's
right
steps
in
there.
the, in the emergency room.
And then the third
There's
was,
a safety plan.
safety plan. Yeah, safety
and
plan.
that's where they, what did she
Make
call
sure
that?
that you're not around the
Who's the person that,
having to be
helped
around the
out.
perpetrator, correct?
Favor?
no, there's, and then what was the fourth one? She got a
Restraining
restraining
order.
order.
Yeah, it's very helpful. So see, what I think is taking place
Social worker. That's what I
Social
was thinking.
worker,
Yes,
okay.
safety plan with a social worker.
is that this would, I don't believe this information really was put forth before and
No.
spread around like it is.
I don't either.
And
Especially since the
Yeah,
elders
this is
just
my
send the
first time
victim
hearing
home
it.
to the
Right.
perpetrator.
so we're
Either
going to do
that's
our part.
Partner
in
or the
making-
parent.
Yeah, we're going to do our part in making it available to more and more.
I just noticed Linda is on and there is no echo. What did she change to help that? Any thoughts,
Oh
Linda?
my goodness. So I'm now known as the woman with an echo. That's why.
Echo lady.
Echo, echo, echo.
Did you do anything different?
I'm on my laptop, which I'm usually on my cell phone.
Okay.
Maybe that's what it is.
Maybe, huh? Yeah, sounds great.
It does sound really
Sounds
good.
great.
And I'm using earbuds, which is nice.
Okay.
No,
good.
also, so we've got Sherlock 13. I think you've
You're
been
so
on, you've been
small.
waiting. Yeah.
Sherlock 13.
I just made it bigger.
I see.
Hi, Joe and Fran. Can you hear me?
Yes.
We can hear you.
Great.
Hello.
Well, my name is Cheryl, and
Cheryl.
Hi, Cheryl.
we've talked, Fran, before.
Yes, I know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
I originally was trying to get on the show because I thought we might be talking about, you know, what you had on the title, which was about
Yes.
cults.
We are.
We will.
We're going
Oh,
to.
we will.
But however, listening to finally, I just, you know, we're all disturbed, appalled, and yet fascinated by her story. And I guess I just want to say, I just don't understand how this can happen. I was in the organization for 35 years, always as an adult, never as a child. But I never saw, I think to myself, was I just not paying attention? Because I was
Yes.
I was in at least half a dozen congregations throughout those
Yep.
years. I never
Same
saw
here.
it. I
We
never saw
hid it from ourselves because it was a subconscious. I really do believe that, because the same thing was happening around me. We hid what was going from ourselves because we didn't want to believe it was happening.
Well, Seth, I mean, I felt that we were in a safe place for our children.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yes.
That's why we
yes.
got
So,
involved.
so was I being suspect at all? Absolutely not. No.
Mhm.
And they knew
Yeah.
that. And they knew that.
Never entered our mind.
Right. And see, this is deception at its finest. But not only deception on the one hand, but also, as
Sorry,
you
I
mentioned.
could interject as to why you never saw it.
Go
Okay,
ahead.
sorry, I can interject. These occurrences with me would be, we're talking about, sometimes you'll have like the circuit overseer or some big event like a Super Saturday, and you'll all be at the friend's house and you spend the night doing some sort of project, making some flyers or something like that. And so I was always spending the night because the next day would be service, and this is where we had service. And so the abuse would happen probably at the end of some theocratic crafting event to the next morning getting ready for service. I remember so many days, you know, getting out of that particular person's bed and like having to find my clothes being disheveled because I don't know whether I was drunk, drugged, or hypnotized, and, you know, fixing the house up and cleaning it for service.
Wow.
You wouldn't see it because it happened in a place you wouldn't expect. This person has hosted Bethel speakers. This person, you know, everybody spends the night. You wouldn't expect her to be a pedophile.
And it was covered over the shade of theocratic events. So anything
Yeah,
that's
those are the theocratic
morning
events,
would
and
be
all
service.
those were just paying off the circuit overseers not to tell the branch anything. So that's for
Finally,
another day. That's
would you,
another topic on another day.
yeah. Would you say that this is a relatively recent happening, or does this go way back in this
This
organization?
goes way back. So this would be in
Thank you.
2004.
Oh, I'm talking about way back, decades
I don't.
ago.
I
Decades.
would assume yes, because I
Yeah.
mean, if you look at the branch articles, the articles that came out on incest, they're only in the 80s and 90s. All the articles on molesting and incest are in the 80s and 90s, if you look at it.
Yeah.
So finally,
Yep.
I have a question. This is Cheryl again. So in that experience, I mean, you were just a child, but could you find no one to confide in? Someone had to be. If they would have known the truth, they would have been outraged.
I did. I told one of the elders that I felt uncomfortable with this person in her bed. He told the coordinator, the coordinator called the presiding overseer at that time. He called the sister because that was his like second wife, best friend, told her that I was a minor and told her to never speak to me again. And that's how they handled it. They unofficially disfellowshipped me, which drove me into a very deep depression. I did tell. And that led to my first suicide attempt.
I'm so sorry. Those of us that weren't affected in that way, we just, I mean, we're outraged and just shocked. It's hard to even put into words how I feel about this, because I too joined, like Joe and Fran. I wanted a safe place for my kids. I was a single parent, and I let my girls hang out with people all the time. I never ever thought we were in danger. And fortunately, I don't think anything
But
ever.
let me say this, my parents weren't in the same congregation as me. So they sent me away to live with my relative. So during the time that this particular set abuse, I haven't been in the same hall with my parents since I was 15. They weren't in the same hall with me, and I was in a different state. So if that changes it.
Yeah, you were
But
basically
I don't
left.
know how much it does, because my parents were always gone. So, and I was still abused back in my home state. So, and my parents were everybody knows them, very famous. So
So
I think it matters if you are a present parent, like if you're present.
yeah.
Right.
So what can the rest of us do? Because this has to be, it just has to stop. This is not acceptable in a quote unquote religious spiritual organization. It's just disgusting, and I don't know how to stop it. What do we do to bring attention to this
I
horrifying?
don't know if anyone on the inside can do anything about it. Because even the elders that know personally and have spoken to my ex about it, have signed affidavits. They're not allowed to go into court without the branch's permission. It's not something that can happen on the inside. I mean, literally, the government's going to have to do it. The government's going to have to do it, like they did in Norway, where they banned disfellowshipping. They're going to have to make certain laws that force the religious organization's hand, because there's nothing we can do on the inside. There's nothing. Even my own mother, even when we were put in her house as a safety plan, she sat there with the kids and went through all of the rape kits. We're talking about a kids under 5. She was encouraged by them, we'll just say them, for me not to take my kids for follow-up care, that would bring reproach. She was like, don't go and tell them that they were trying to kill you. That's going to bring reproach. Don't tell anyone that the friends closed the door on you and that's why you attempted suicide. That's going to bring reproach. So you're not going to be able to get through to anybody.
And this is your mother telling you these suggestions?
That was She was directed.
The coach.
Oh, wow.
is the
Okay.
coach-
And I
is the-
had to sneak out and take my kids to the doctor. My 3-year-old, I can't enroll him in school right now because I have to re-potty train him because he cannot use his rectum. I've got to stay at home. I have to live
Yeah.
off of
Yeah.
now the government. The government is paying me. I think I get now, I've had to stop working. The max they'll give me is $340 a month. And I've got to
Right.
stay home
Right.
with my kids while they heal from their injuries.
Wow.
I understand that. And you're doing the right thing. And this is the time you really need this assistance. And there's a lot of resources that you can be directed to within these different things you're involved in too.
Yeah, so that's where I'm at. And the witnesses I've been on the run twice, and I can't go back to where I was because they've paid off everybody up there. I'm not safe. So I have to be here where the safety plan is because literally the government is protecting me. The government is protecting me and my kids.
Finally,
Wow.
it was just,
Wow.
you said it was just a month ago that you attempted to take your life. Who was it that you called finally? And if you want to tell the
Yeah,
extra.
I called my mom because I called my mom in the hospital. And I told her, I said, I broke down and I said, Mom, I've been trafficked. I said, you thought I was safe. I said, I've been trafficked. I told her the name of the sister. She said, I believe it. I believe it because every time I went up there, it was like you were brainwashed. It was like you were her slave and I couldn't get you to snap out of it. And I said, yeah, Mom, it was Stockholm syndrome. And I told her about
Mm-hmm.
all of the abuse. And that's when law enforcement, that's how they got involved to get my mom to be on my side because all of the witnesses were telling her that I was schizophrenic.
So what made you look on the XJW? Because you didn't really have too much contact with XJWs, right?
I didn't know anything about it. I think what got me looking was I had a friend that was kind of exiting at the same time, and she was explaining to me certain things when I was running from my life, from the trafficking. I don't want to relive that. But anyway, she was explaining to me certain things, and she's like, Chloe, she was like, don't download the app. Don't do this, do that. They ask for permissions on your phone, don't call this person.
Mm.
And so she was just kind of explaining to me some
Ways of
things that kind of
surveillance.
that opened my eyes. And then she was just like, when I lost contact with her, and then I called her back and I was like, I said, I'm alive. And I said, the last elder I talked to told me literally, you should have been dead by now. I said, and I'm alive and I'm here. I said, and we connected. And then she just started talking to me about PMOs. And I just looked up something on Reddit at first because I was kind of nervous because I thought that I wasn't going to have any eternal salvation. I was really stressed out about that. I was stressed out that I didn't have any friends. All my friends shut the door on me. I was stressed out that for so long I was separated from my mom. I was stressed out because, I just got out of this hospital and I've got these kids and they're so broken physically and mentally. Get in the car. So I needed friends. So when I was looking at some of the pages and I saw a telephone number that was posted, Ken Mayo, and I just took a chance to call it. I just took a chance to call Ken. He answered right away like it was no big deal. And then Ken connected me with Fran. And I kind of explained to Fran that I was trying to get a direction as far as legal things. And then that's just kind of how I got connected. And I'm grateful. I don't know if I really want to be known as an XJW, but I mean, it is what it is.
I'm
I'm not
absolutely
fully,
furious
I'm
with
not
this elder
fully
that
ready
told
to
you.
come out, but I don't think I'm fully ready to come out only because my mom is still attached and I don't want her to lose any of her connections, although she has been shunned quite a bit since she took me in. But I just told her, like I told you guys in the beginning, I can just guarantee you that I'm gonna, heal myself, take care of my kids, and take care of my mom. And I have a good career to look forward to, and I'm gonna take care of her. And I was just like, I mean, that's all you can expect. All your other kids are serving and they're mooching off of you, and nobody's helping.
Yeah.
I'm
So
furious with the
that'll
elder
just
that
be
said
my
to you,
ministry.
What was that, Linda?
I said, I'm furious with this elder that said that you should be dead by now.
Oh,
Because
he
I
was being
took
honest.
everything I know he
Oh, he was
was.
being always being
Oh,
honest.
exactly. That's what has me furious. How dare him? Look at you. As you know, I want to slap him really hard.
Yeah.
And you know what?
Hey,
Just from what you said, you're an amazing woman. You are very amazing woman, and to
Yeah, I
take
mean,
you
even
down
even when I was in the psych
will
hospital,
take a
there were
lot.
someone attempted to kill me 3 times in the hospital, and they had to save my life in the hospital. They were
That's
trying to get rid of me and my daughter because we won't stop talking.
yeah. You have much more everything than you realize. Like you're going to look back at today's days, in a few years and realize just how equipped you and amazing and powerful you are, but you don't realize it yet. You really are.
Oh, thank you.
I want to say the same thing, honestly. Like, I just was tearing up a minute ago because, like, I don't know I mean, do you still have visions of like this? Because I've been sexually assaulted not too long ago, and it's something I don't want to talk about on here, but it just reminded me of that incident, and I haven't been having visions like I used to. I have therapy now. I've been going to a therapist, and um I know I relapsed a little bit. I've been drinking and stuff, but I haven't been having visions like I used to. But like with everything you went through, like how do you, like, I don't know, have you been having visions of,
Yeah,
or like,
that's a really good question. So up until I spoke with Fran, I want to say 3 days ago, it was heavy. I was in a state of trauma and terror. Okay, but when she showed that genuine concern for me as a person, that helped a lot to stop that. Also, there is a sexual assault 24-hour line that you can call. And the type of person I am, I wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning and I have raging thoughts. And I've been utilizing those numbers to call and talk to someone in those times, you know, and it's a, I don't want to say it's better than prayer. It's just a little bit different than prayer because you have a live person. And um, that's helped to slow down me reliving those experiences because I have found true compassion, and also I'm on the right antidepressant. So if I've tried Zoloft, which is makes me crazy. I was on Lexapro, which killed my renal system, and now I'm on Celexa, which I only have to be on 10 milligrams of that. It helps my major depression, and it doesn't interrupt my sleep cycles. So I think
I, I,
also just getting regulated on
I,
my antidepressant helped.
that's huge. I'm on antidepressants as well, and it's quite the gift because it just balances your serotonin level, which serotonin, if it's balanced, will give you a sense of well-being. And when it's unbalanced, it's very easy to go into panic and, stinking thinking, and it's horrible. So you're being really smart and good in your self-care. You know,
yeah, I'm
you're
glad
taking
that
care of
you're
yourself.
on.
Good for you.
Yeah, but I
Yeah.
went against everything the organization taught because I was taught that you don't need to go to a therapist. And if you prayed enough and went out in service enough, you'll be healed. And it did the opposite. And I developed
Yeah.
all of this social anxiety, and I was so weird.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody dogged me at the hall because I always looked pissed off. And it was just, it was too much.
And I started my meds. I didn't start my meds until I was 30. So I stalled too because I didn't want to get quote unquote hooked on drugs, right? And that's how it was taught to me that that's what it would be. And it's not the case. Antidepressants are not addictive. They're, it's a form of, just like somebody who's diabetic takes their diabetic medicine to regulate their sugar level. This is something to regulate your serotonin level, which is in your brain,
Yeah. I feel like, I mean, all I have to say is, because I used to be on medication, so I kind of been going to the gym, but lately I haven't because I don't have my car with me until tomorrow. So I kind of relapsed because, I just didn't have my car. So there's that.
I
Speaking of
feel you.
car,
My car was broken down the other day myself, and turned out that the brother had it sabotaged. But anyway, that's a whole nother story. But it got fixed, and I totally get that when you don't have your car, it can also add another layer of sadness. But I do teach Pilates, and I am more than willing to do a video session.
Yeah,
Free
that'd be
Pilates
awesome.
for anybody. Yeah, I could totally do. I've been wanting to reach out. I do a trauma-based Pilates, and I would love to help in any way I can because that's how I help myself. They call me
See,
the Pilates
I heard
princess.
exercise, and I really thought they said extra fries, and that's what I got in line for.
It's such a gift. I was freaking out earlier going, why do you need 4 restraining orders? It must be a really good reason. And he said, I think she said number 4. Because you were talking
Yeah, that was number 4. Yeah, get your restraining order, and they have to honor it at the Kingdom Hall. So if you still choose to participate at the meetings and everything, you get that restraining order, and the elders have to honor it. And it was great because then my ex couldn't harass me because what he was doing was he was coming to the meetings where we escaped and dogging me out to the elders. And now all of them are really screwed because now that the hospital has proven it, everybody's got to backtrack, and they're all mandated reporters. So nobody reported because they thought it would never come out. So everybody's got to backdate and mandate report. And the social worker on my kid's case was like, we've gotten hella calls about your kids. And I said, yeah, I could see that.
Yep, that's one of their tactics. It's like they're gang stalking you. It's really strategic. And Fran can give you my number if you want it. I'm kind of a night person. If you want it.
That. Linda, I will do that.
Yeah, I would like that because I need night people because I'm up all night doing homework. I need people to call me in the middle of the night because I don't have any friends and I have to call these 24-hour lines, which is cool, but it's creepy.
I'll call you. I'll call you,
call
girl.
me. Yeah. Okay.
We'll
I'll
give
have
you the
friends either.
numbers. We'll give you the numbers.
And I have no desire to change your spiritual belief system at all. You keep that. You got that.
Oh no, you're good. I don't even know what I believe. I was reading that most Christians think that Adam and Eve were covered by the ransom, so I don't know what to believe anymore. I'm kind of confused.
Who knows?
I'm gonna
still
have
trying
to
to figure
do
out
some research.
if they had belly buttons or not.
It's definitely a journey, but I'm on my spiritual journey now, and it's one of the best things I've ever done. I still profess to be Christian. I let the Bible interpret itself, and it's the best journey I've been on yet.
At this point, let me ask a question that I've wanted to ask, considering everything here. What you just mentioned about your personal spiritual journey, and the prevalence of child abuse, sexual abuse. How important is being part of a religion and a congregation in relation to your safety and spiritual progress? How important? What role does a congregation play, considering the dangers?
That's a really good question. I think I'll just say at this point, I want to choose I want to have the choice to choose my friends and associates that I feel safe with. I don't want to be forced to associate with people that I really don't know and don't feel comfortable with anymore.
Okay, fair enough. How can a person do that entering a congregation?
Can you say the question again?
Well, how can a person control the safety of their family, their personal life, in a congregation of a number of people? 20 people, 30 people? They
Like
enter any
like how
congregation.
can a individual person, like whether you are a child or an adult, or talking
Yeah.
about how can you
A woman,
Yeah.
a woman in family enters the congregation of 20, 30, 80, 100 people. How can they protect themselves, considering they really don't know any of those other
Right.
people in the congregation? Considering the fact that pedophiles inhabit the congregations for the
That's a good
purpose,
point.
for the
I
purpose,
mean,
for the express purpose of finding a victim.
That's
I just want to
crazy.
say this. I think that the children that are most in danger in the congregation are those raised in the truth because, and I will say this
Yeah,
because
they are.
if you've never, like for me, I was baptized when I was 8. So my whole life, I was taught no sex before marriage. This is wrong. That's
Right.
wrong. And I was dedicated at 8. So the only
Right.
sex I ever had was abuse. So then, therefore, the pedophiles know that. They know that these kids raised in the truth are taught to obey. If their parents come from generations, they've been conditioned to be submissive. They're not going to make any waves because all their family is there. I mean, really, the only thing you can do is to be alert and don't let your kids get baptized until they're after puberty if they really want to do it. Like, don't force them into baptism. That's the only way they'll be safe because other than that, they won't know anything about sex and no way to protect themselves.
Well, okay, fair enough. I understand that. How is that child going to react when they realize the others in the congregation are being baptized and they're not a part of the clique?
Yeah.
I'm just
Why?
This is some pretty heavy stuff, Joe.
Well,
This is
look,
Yeah, I'm
look,
just
make
look,
my
it is-
brain kind of hurt, Joe.
Yeah,
but I know
you're,
you're trying
you're
to get.
right.
Can you
I
throw?
mean,
Can you
see,
throw
it
out a
is
couple of hints?
See,
with
it is pretty heavy stuff because this is
yeah, it's heavy,
exactly
but it's the real life. Yeah, you are
because
left
this.
out.
Yeah.
Because I
See,
remember one kid got baptized because his mom said, "I'll get you a laptop if you get
yeah,
baptized."
Oh my God.
yeah. See, the pedophiles
Yeah,
know
that's
how this
crazy.
works. The pedophiles understand the way the human works, and the elders fit into this. The most risky thing a person can do is enter a congregation. I don't care if it's a congregation of Jehovah's Witnesses, Catholics, or anything where there's close contact with a number of different ages. It's a guarantee that is the lurking grounds of pedophiles.
Especially as a lot of religious organizations, there's no whistleblower protection, legal protection, and there's no legal policy. That's the thing. Because at least at a YMCA, there's a policy. You know what I'm saying? But you don't have one at the Kingdom Hall.
So do we understand this now? See, can any of us say, well, we don't know that this is happening. We don't realize that this is so dangerous. We don't realize that this is what's going on in the congregations. And yet we still or looking for a congregation? Well, the pedophiles rely on that. Look, let's say, okay, finally, let's say, well, I want to be part of another congregation. Or let's say everyone says, you know, this congregation is filled with pedophiles. Let's go somewhere else. Guess what? Guess who follows? The pedophiles. And you don't know who they are. Do you see what's
I
going
remember when
on?
I went to go serve where the need was great in a congregation in Nebraska, right? So I was younger. I may have been like 22 or 23. And it was so creepy. So when we went to that Keenum Hall, there was a kind of a brother that creeped me out that was sitting in the corner, and his wife was going around laughing, talking, socializing with everybody. And so then I asked, I said, why is that brother sitting in the corner like that? And so someone explained to me, he's a pedophile. He is a sex offender. So they can't stop him from going to the hall, but he has to sit in that same chair, and all the kids have to have 100 feet from him. And that was the first time I'd ever seen that. That was in Takema, Nebraska, at that hall.
Why
So
don't
he
they
was
get a
just sitting by
restraining order on his
himself?
ass till you get him to not be? I don't know. Never mind. I'm just talking like
The elders talk.
a mother or a woman.
See, there's something.
Wow. He
See,
gets his own chair.
Yes, too, honey.
Wow.
Paul?
hello, Paul.
Hey, how are you guys?
How are you?
All right. I've been listening to the show. I will say this. I was in a congregation in Merrimack, New Hampshire, and there was a young guy there. I say young because he's younger than me. I got there at, I think, 41, and I think he was probably late 20s. But he had molested his little brother, and I think there's speculation he had molested other kids. And he was this young guy was a good looking guy. I mean, I say good looking in the sense of, you know, very clean cut, looked like any other young Bethelite, you know, always dressed nice, always had a perfect haircut and stuff. And everyone knew he was a pedophile. He got in trouble for it. He couldn't conduct meetings for field service, couldn't do much of anything. But I mean, he answered at all the meetings. He couldn't handle mics. He couldn't go in the bathroom, you know, with other kids there and stuff. Like, if he had to go to the bathroom, one of the attendants in the back had to make sure there were no kids in the bathroom, and then stand at the door while he went in the bathroom and used it. And for some crazy reason, a young sister in our hall that was a pioneer married him. I mean, she was 11 or 12 years younger than him and married him. And that blew literally everybody away. I had a talk with her and with him. Like, what are you thinking? And she said, there's no guys. I'm like, this is the only single guy in the congregation. What are you going to argue about that? You can't argue that because you can't marry outside the hall. And I talked to him. I'm like, hey, I'm just going to let you know. You know, I'll preface this with, I did 10 years in federal prison for drug charges. And so I've got a very dim view of child molesters. And he always knew that. You know, he had made reference one time when we were both in the same car group that he goes, you probably don't like me. You know, he says, you've probably heard about me and you probably don't like me. And I hadn't heard about him because I'd only been there like 3 weeks. And I says, I haven't heard about you. I don't know why I wouldn't like you. And he goes, oh, well, they say that I'm a child molester. Oh, never mind. I remember what it was. I was asked to conduct the meeting for field service because there were only him and sisters there. And I said something to the effect of, I can't remember his name either, but I said, because it's been 16 years ago, I said something to the effect of, oh no, let so-and-so do it. And the sister said, he can't. I'm like, oh, okay. I didn't know if he wasn't baptized or what. And so I went ahead and did it. And then a little bit later on, I went to another meeting for field service, like 3 or 4 days later. And he was there, but a sister was conducting it with head covering. And when I walked in, she was just about done. She had me say the prayer. So I didn't really know anything about this guy, but I had a conversation with him a couple of years later before he's going to marry this young lady. And I says, you're right. I don't like child molesters. I said, and I don't like seeing child molesters cozy up with some young sister in the congregation either. And then the elders pulled me in the back room as he told on me. So, but it's just, I've never understood how the congregation can just not only cover it up, but allow and accept someone. But the elders say, "Hey, Jehovah's forgiven him."
Yeah.
Okay, whatever.
If I could interject here just real quick,
Yeah, go ahead.
I wake up really early in the morning. It's the last week of school. Well, no, I got one more week of school left. I'm a bus driver, so it's early morning for me. So I'm gonna go to bed now. But I thought I would do it in one more Stephen Lett way. Just I had fun with it before. I warmly thank you for having me on this evening. Have a great night. We love you. All right, good night, everybody.
Go to bed, Seth. Go to bed.
I had to do it. I'm
to
getting
bed.
delirious. I need to go to bed.
Oh my God, that was amazing.
Bye,
It
guys.
was, yeah.
Good night. Thank you for coming on. Cheer.
You know what Paul's talking about is like people find out these things on a need to know basis. So when this other gal was talking, like, I never knew I couldn't imagine this even happening because they don't tell people. It's really purposely kept secret,
I'm going to ask
and it's
another
on a need to know basis.
I'm going to ask another obvious question. Do you think congregations are a safe place for a family?
No.
Hell no. No.
If so, what does it mean that people would persist in being there? Families, what does it mean? What are they missing? What motivates them to continue despite the fact that they're exposing themselves to
Everybody's saying no to you.
to this kind of harm? What do you suppose it says about the person who willingly exposes themselves and their family to this kind of
willingly? See, I'm having I don't. Okay.
Fear.
I think it's fear, obligation, and guilt, and I don't think that's willing. I don't think they look forward to it. I think they're driven by.
I agree.
You know what I'm saying?
I agree.
Coercion and everything.
I understand that, but see,
and then that whole story about how you have to find the right religion, the one that God's using,
and isn't this where Rutherford's words of the religions being a snare?
Yeah.
In other words, I'm a religious person. I'm a spiritual person. I want to be with other people who are religious. Let's go and join a congregation. And the pedophiles are happy because that's what they're looking for.
It's Pavlov's dogs.
Yeah. Thank you.
That's right.
No congregation, no
just like
pedophiles
that
in the congregation. Congregations aren't made up of all pedophiles. Just a few, and a lot of targets. They're all targets.
So sad.
And being born a girl child, we are really trained to have to do what the men say, not just the men in our family, but any man at the Kingdom Hall.
Right.
That's,
You have to
I mean,
deeply
that's the way I was
them.
raised, to be submissive and to do what they direct us to do.
Yeah.
Listen and obey, deeply respect.
Yeah.
I had no idea what boundaries were or anything.
And now we know why.
You're not protected. You're not protected in something like that because they're specifically teaching you to listen to them.
Not only you're not protected, you're exposed to the danger of it. You're there. You're there.
And I was literally told, like, forget all of, like, after the meeting that I had, meeting my accuser, which was horrific, where she dogged me the hell out in front of like 5 elders. And she swore on the Bible that she never molested me. I found out after that meeting that one of the elders was like, she didn't think she raped you. She thought you were girlfriends. And so that's why she adamantly denied it. And so I was like, what? I said, how were we girlfriends? I was 16, and at that time I looked like I was 12. How could she say that? And you guys just accepted that. So that let me know that she did give him a confession, but that they actively hid it. So I kind of have, like I said, a different perspective. I was actually systematically trafficked. So a lot of things and questions you guys have, you know, I can answer, and I know that I'm not the only one. I just don't think that a lot of witnesses know what sex trafficking is. They think streetwalker.
Yeah.
You're not walking the street. I'm going to serve where the need is great.
That's right. Call it,
Can I
that's
just,
loaded language. Yeah.
can I just mention something here? This conversation is very triggering for some people. So what would you say to a person that's being triggered right now? This person wants to cut themselves because that's their way of dealing with this conversation right now. Anybody have any thoughts on that?
Wow, that's a good question.
So
Well,
I'm hoping they can center themselves and ground themselves.
No, I mean, like, I want to give you a hug. That's what I would say. I just want to give you a hug.
Thank you, Ash. Thank you.
I know from my ex-wife's experience. I was on, I think Barbara Anderson or Rick Farron's, one of those shows last year, when my first ex-wife, shortly after she committed suicide, she had been molested by her aunt from the age of 5 or 6 to 13, and she started engaging in self-harming when she was young, and it literally just kept accelerating until she committed suicide. And it's like, cutting is just a way of starting a process that's not going to end well. You know, I don't know what to do about it. I just know that, you know, with Angie, cutting wasn't good enough after a while. Other things weren't good enough after a while. And then after we got divorced, she tried, since she had been molested by her aunt, she tried, I don't know how you say it. She tried, you know, being with women for a while, and that didn't work. And then there was a string of abusive men, and it just continued. But she stayed out of being a witness, and she eventually moved back in with her parents at like 50 or 51 last year, and started going back to them. And didn't last 3 weeks going back to the meeting. Like, she never addressed it when she was younger, and never outed her aunt. And so sadly, she took her life. You know, I just, anytime I hear of someone engaging in self-harm, my brain automatically flips to the worst case scenarios of where it could go. And I wish I knew what to tell a person like that, but it's sad.
I
If
just
she
wanted
needs
to.
my number,
I'll give her your number. I will, Ash. Gail, we haven't heard anything from Gail.
Oh, hi. Good evening.
Good wisdom.
I just want to say something to finally. Do you know about Silent Lambs? Finally, are you there?
No, I don't know anything about that.
It's a ExJWF Witness. It's a website for abuse survivors, and there's a lot of great information. It's called Silent Lambs, and it's a great website. And there's a lot of information on there that might be of help.
Thank you so much, because I am really trying to figure out how to help my kids cope. Because they have the loss of their dad, they have the loss of the congregation, you know, and they're trying to heal emotionally and
So you're all
physically,
grieving.
and I'm kind of lost, you know.
I mean,
I'm
it's
trying.
an odd thing for me to say, but it's like a grieving process because they're grieving losing something. And that's a process that you go through when you grieve. And I feel leaving a corrupt organization, you can grieve afterwards and go through a lot of different emotions. I'd like to address the trigger issue. I think we all have a responsibility, each and every one of us. If you're going to put your life out there, and I just want to let people know, this is open. We're on the internet and it's open. And I just want to be, you can disagree with me all you want. Be very careful what you say and put on, because this is a free, open site. And and the predators are looking for those that are vulnerable and have just left. And they target the ExJW community. And I just want everybody to be aware of what you say and what you put out. I'm not saying don't say anything, but just think of others and what they've been through. So if you're going to give your story, why don't you run it by Joe and Fran before you put it on the air? Because I have some triggers too sometimes, and we have to think about others and what we're saying, what kind of effect may it have on others. I'm not telling anybody what to do. I'm just throwing these out as suggestions, just to be aware and be careful what you say and put out there, because this is not private. Trust me.
That's right.
Oh,
right.
yeah, that's one thing I know. It's not a private account. My personal account on social media is not private either. So, yeah, I can definitely agree with that. I mean, in general, I think it's important to always mind what you say, even if you are in private.
Well, seek out somebody you trust immensely, but it doesn't have to be online. But there's a lot of great support systems out there, and there's a lot of great ExJW people out there too that you can hook up with and have it in more private and someone you trust if you need to share anything with somebody. But it's also good to get a therapist too. Get a professional that can help, that deals with abuse.
I would like to say that not only to everyone here, but whoever feels triggered, that we exited that organization because we saw how damaging and toxic and dishonest and corrupt that it was and still is. And we see the effects that it's having on the people, both here as ourselves, as well as people who are still triggered. We all have triggers. I have my triggers. Fran has hers. Mm-hmm. The thing we're left with is two things. Number one, we love each other. We love you. Otherwise, we would not be here. I love myself. I love my wife and my family. And the first responsibility is for me to love myself. Because that's the only way I could end up loving anyone else. A trigger is something that indicates to a person that there's something they need to work on. It's just such a loud signal that there's something they desperately need to work on. And I'm going to encourage that person, or any one of us, to keep working on that. Keep working on those things.
I appreciate what Fallen had mentioned, how, you were going to therapist and you were working out at the gym, and then your car wasn't working. So you didn't have a way to get to the gym. So you fell back into drinking because it was convenient and it's there, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So we have to have like plan B, because life is not a bed of roses. Every day there's something that I had a nightmare the other night. I can't believe I told Joe. I was like, it was so real. I'm not going to go into it, but it was with one of our children. And so it could be anything you get triggered. So the question is, when you get triggered, what's your plan? You got to have a plan ready, plan. So rather than drinking, Fallen, maybe you've got something else. And I know that finally Free said you guys can do a yoga class together. And I think that's beautiful. And I already gave the three of you their numbers. So you've got something to work on there.
The thing that,
Thank you.
and this is powerful.
You're
This
welcome.
is very powerful.
You're welcome.
There are many who are coming to realize, and the Bible even says this, there is no Savior.
Mhm.
You gotta save yourself.
You may be looking for a Savior. We're taught that. Everyone's taught that. Seek a Savior. Be saved. Savior, 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 Savior. There is no Savior. And so people are left with not having to have developed in themselves what they need to survive. The reliance is on what? The religion, prayer, Savior. And here they're left without having developed themselves to save themselves. And this is what everything that we're seeing. This is why so many people are turning away from religion as well as a saving God, because he failed everybody. He's failed everyone. And there's so many indications of that. Now, if he's come through for people, that's fabulous. I mean, that's great. That's tremendous. But clearly, there's so many people he hasn't come through for. We need to save ourselves. And
Yeah, and I do apologize if I triggered anyone. That wasn't my intention. It wasn't. No. I was just saying that I wasn't using it for therapy. I was simply just sharing my story.
No, this needs to be. Otherwise, this stays secret, and the pedophiles continue their work because it's secret.
No apology needed.
It needs to be exposed. It needs
Finally,
to be
Free,
exposed.
any place any of us are around each other, we are triggering each other like a pinball machine all the time. So he was just like bringing attention to what's happening here and what's happening there. So it's like, well, it usually never is anybody's intention. So it's kind of like going to the trigger zone as well.
Well, look, you might think in terms of like competitive sports. Now, this is not a competitive sport which we're engaging in here. But in competitive sports, people aren't playing to have fun. They're playing to win over the other. So, and it's not easy. They're going to push the other, and that strengthens them to do better, to be better. Well, we do have a competition going on in our own personal lives. And if we haven't figured out how to wage that competition, we're going to be left being overcome. And we don't want to be overcome. Life is not very nice when you're overcome. And when you can't come to your own rescue, or at least have others where you can support each other, inspire each other to say, I want to be better. I see what they're doing. I want to be like that. That's what I want to be. And that's inspiration.
Yeah.
We need that from each other.
And many in the chat are thanking you for sharing.
Oh,
so, and then some Jeannie Jewell said, "How can we stop it if we don't know? How can we protect our children if we don't know?" So these things need to be talked about. But, we do need to be careful. I agree with Gail.
See, at least this is where whoever's triggered, in whatever trigger that any one of us has, find out exactly what it is and get help. Well, why stay weak? Mm-hmm. Why do something that isn't sensible for ourselves?
Yeah.
We have that responsibility. It literally is a responsibility to ourselves.
That's why we're coming up with that therapist and life coach page that these people were Jehovah's Witnesses. Okay. They're not just some person out there in the world that doesn't know
So they understand.
what we went through.
Yeah, they understand.
All of these people, and we're going to have more on
Yeah.
there. Look them up, see if they, if you can talk to them. One of the friends that newly called us, she called Gary Alt, and she said, I just love talking to him. It helped me so much. And this person has been out of the organization for 20 years, but she still had the emotional and the mental, JW going on in her head. Not only that, but she had a lot of other bad things happening in her life. So yes, there's the page, ExJWFriends. These are therapists, they're life coaches, and most importantly, our friend. And like we can give you phone numbers of each other. So just, keep that in mind.
Oh, someone in the chat asked, what is a trigger?
Good question. What's a trigger?
Well, I guess a person knows what a trigger is. I
Why did they
suppose
call
it's
it
something
trigger?
that sets something off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Trigger usually sets something off that's ready to go off. So the question becomes, why is it ready? What do you have that's being ready to go off? What is that what you want? In other words, we have things that with triggers, and we want them to go off because that's why it has a trigger, because you want it to go off. Well, no. In this case, the person does not want the trigger because it sets something off. Well, this is where, okay, you're responsible now to not have it be ready to go off. What's happened to you where it's ready to go off? Look, if I had something that was ready to explode on me, I would want it to be relieved. I wouldn't like that happening to me. I need to get this relief. It has to be over. Pressure. You can't live with pressure. And if the person has that kind of pressure, they desperately need to get help for it. Desperately. Ashes.
I have I wanted to add on. Wait, did you say ashes?
Yeah, falling.
Okay. I just wanted to comment with what you were saying, Jill, is I actually looked up what trigger means on Google, and it says a trauma trigger is a stimulus that causes a person to recall or react to a past traumatic event.
Mm-hmm.
Triggers can be internal, like a thought or feeling, or external, like a person, place, or situation.
Yeah.
They can be powerful, causing the body and mind to react as if the person is reliving the trauma.
Yeah.
Triggers are unique to each individual and can be anything from smell, sound, or sight.
Could be anything. Could be anything.
And it could work for good memories too.
Yeah.
Have you ever?
Exactly.
It's springtime. You smell that time of year, and it might remind you of times past that was good, or a certain fragrance. So either negative or good times.
And this is where therapy comes in. Not only therapy, but then also a coach, which is different than a therapist, and then a friend, which supports you in your efforts, like you support them in their efforts. I dare say that person needs those things. Paul.
Probably like growing pains. We might not like them when it's happening because the growing pains might hurt, but the growth is a good thing.
You know, a weird trigger I had. Do you know how somehow all Kingdom Halls smell the same?
Yeah.
Have you guys noticed that?
Yeah.
Oh my God. When I would go into the hall and smell the smell, and I remember this one meeting that I attended. It was after my suicide attempt, and they were trying to keep it quiet. And so every time I would walk into the hall and smell that smell, I would panic. It didn't matter wherever I was at. And I'm thinking is it the wallpaper paste or is it the chairs? But why does it smell like this? And I would just literally walk into a hall and have a full just breakdown, especially if it was built where the library was close to the entrance. So it's like I'd walk in, I'd see the library, think of that meeting, smell the smell, and freak out.
Yeah,
And I don't know if anybody else had like a trigger like that going to the hall. Am I the only?
Oh yeah.
No, you're
No,
not.
you're not the only one.
No.
I drive by a Kingdom Hall and I'm triggered.
There you go.
I can't even smell it.
I'm 73 years old. I watched television when I was little, and there were these silly little ads on. And there was this one ad for cigarettes, and it was, are you doing it more, but enjoying it less? Now, there's a certain problem with someone who's doing something more, but enjoying it less. That's not a healthy behavior at all. Sensibly, I keep doing this and I don't enjoy. I'm done with it. That's healthy. I'm done with it. Instead, I don't know why I keep this up. Maybe if I keep it up, it'll get better. I'll keep it up. And it doesn't get better, but you keep it up and you keep it up and you keep it up and you keep it up. Well, what kind of life are you making for yourself with that? You're not enjoying it, but yet you're doing it. You're harming yourself. You're hurting yourself. You're not a friend. You're not being your friend. These are things we have to recognize and then do something about. And if you can't do it alone, ask someone. Get help, for God's sakes. Get help to stop those things. Otherwise, it's a neurosis. It's a neurotic behavior.
Ash had her hand up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, go ahead, Ash. Jump right in.
Well, I wanted to mention a trigger for me that I remember. I mean, in regards to Finally, right? That's your name, Finally?
Finally free.
Yeah,
Finally free.
That's my name for now.
I like it. Finally free. Nice to meet you. For me, ever since what happened to me with the sexual assault, I've been having visions, and every night the triggers would happen because that's when it happened, was nighttime. So that's the trigger, was the weather. The weather triggered me, but that was my problem because that's not, I mean, it was my problem, but it wasn't my problem. It was something that happened to pass, and right now I'm safe, but I feel triggered. I feel like he was touching me at that time when he wasn't. He's not there. I'm in a safe space, but I'm triggered. But I had nights where I banged on the wall and I screamed and I let it out, and that's what helped me. What helped me was letting it out, and what helped me was going to anger therapy, where I went to this place and I could use like a hammer to smash items. So I would use those items and I would pretend that those items were my rape victim, and it made me feel better. So I don't have those visions like I used to. And actually, I've been having a different routine in my life. I changed my routine. I put my armor on, like I put my underwear on, my bra on, I put everything on. I layer myself, even if it's hot outside. As long as I have something on, I don't feel triggered, because that's what kept me protected, was having something on, So that's what helps me.
We are so human, and you're taking that into consideration. You're managing yourself, your humanity. You're doing something about these things. There's that connection between your thinking, your feeling, your actions. You've got to do, and you're doing something about that, and it works. It works. That's
It does
beautiful.
work for me. I haven't had visions since the beginning of it all, since last year, so I'm good.
See, those things don't work for others if they don't do it.
No.
It only works if you do it. And so that's the point. The point is we have to do something for ourselves We have to.
Just before we're going to have to wrap it up soon, but we haven't heard anything from San Diego.
Wow.
And
was here.
Ruby just came on. Yep, San Diego.
And I haven't forgotten about clicks.
Oh yeah. We
And hey,
we
can
were
I add
going to
something
talk
real quick?
about it.
Can I add
Yeah.
something real quick? My
Paul.
friend Jacqueline is on. We've known each other since we were 9, and I don't know how much time you have left, but she can talk about triggers too. So, but anyway, if you have time.
Welcome,
Yeah, we have
Jacqueline.
15 minutes.
Well, we don't actually, but
we
we got 10 minutes.
Yeah, 10 minutes, and
We still have something to say about. Well, what? How long did you need, Paul?
Oh, it would be Jacqueline down there. I don't know if her mic's on or.
Oh, hi, Jacqueline. Yeah, she just came in.
Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Yep. Hey, Jackie.
Hey.
Just a plan. We go till 10. So.
What is it? Paul shared that someone about self-harm. I was raised in the organization, and I left about, I don't know, 10 years ago, I guess. So
They were asking what you do about triggers, and I know you'd given me some advice at one point on triggers. So.
well, I ended up becoming an advocate, and I still work with survivors of domestic violence, sexual assault, young girls that are leaving the organization now that have been abused. My thing is the trigger thing that's hard. I did used to self-harm as a young person. Not so much now. I've found outlets so that I don't do that anymore. But yeah, I don't know exactly. Like, I feel like I'm not sure exactly what to say right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jacqueline,
Well,
would
you
you?
said you found outlets.
Yeah.
You went out of your way. You were
Mhm.
doing something about it.
Yeah. Would you be willing to talk to this person if we exchanged phone numbers privately?
Yes, because I
Okay.
do that, and like I said, I still do that to this day. I'm helping
Okay.
young
Thank
girls,
you.
like I said. So yes,
Fabulous.
Thank you.
I would.
And I know Fallon
I
is
will say
reaching
this
out
right
too.
now. We find so much benefit in connecting people together.
Okay.
That is the savior for
Yes.
each other. That's what
I
we
would be
found.
happy to do that, and you know what? That's what
we're
we
finding.
need. That's what we need.
And this is
Thank you.
exactly what we're finding. Just to let you all know. That's why we
Good.
do what we do.
I'll
Because you're
give
helping each other.
I'll give her number to Paul since I have his number. And yeah, really quick, San Diego. We're going to be seeing you soon. What's up?
I just want to say I'm looking forward to this weekend. It's going to be a lot of fun meeting a lot of people. Yeah, I'd say the only triggers that I really had, and I think the ones that bothered me the most, and not so much until I started experiencing them, was the unannounced visits at the house, and then that one incident at where I worked at. But I kind of learned to a certain degree, and this was something that I think I saw on another channel called "The Only Power That Elders Have Are the Kind, or as much power as you give them."
You give them. That's right.
Yeah, well, yeah, we were I was at work. We came to a general assembly, and one of my coworkers in the same department is her mother has been disfellowshipped for 20 plus years. She doesn't know that I was baptized. She never was baptized, so I kind of kept that under wraps. But we saw the same individual that came to my cubicle at the same general assembly. He just kind of walked up and said hello, and then mentioned my name, and then he had a smile on his face. I turned around and just looked at him right in the eyes and said hello back, mentioned his name, but I mentioned his full name with the EY, kind of like almost when you say Johnny, but except it was his name. He hates that. So I just kind of threw it right back in his face, like kind of it was kind of my way of like not being 100% rude, but kind of letting him know, like You're here to intimidate me. I'm letting you know I'm not intimidated by or scared of you at all. So
that's true. They only have the power we give them, and you weren't giving it to them.
Nope.
Look, thank you, San Diego. We've got to talk about clicks really quick. Hi, Ruby. What's a click? First off, what is a click? Anyone know what a click is?
I'd say a group of people that have certain things in common with each other. Depending on how extreme the clique is, determines whether they only allow those same kind of people in their group or not.
Okay, yeah. I mean, cliques have been forming for as long as mankind has been around. They're so common that, in fact, that's the way we engage with each other with common interests. It's such a natural thing to do, a clique. Now, usually the problem comes in when, not that the clique is forming, it's when they won't accept me into their clique.
That's true.
It's like, well, okay, they won't accept you into their clique. So the next question becomes, should they?
Make your own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of cliques in the Kingdom
I don't
Hall.
care about your clique.
It's very cliquey in the Kingdom Halls, especially with the pioneers. And
Well, what about cliques in the ExJW community?
I'm sure that happens too.
Okay.
I've never seen it. I mean, I'm new to this.
Well, wait a minute now. Well, wait. Is there some problem with a clique? There is, because they won't accept me into it. That's what the problem is. They won't accept me. Well, okay. Do you need to be accepted into that clique? See, now, this is Watchtower reasoning. Watchtower reasoning says we're all united here. We're all friends here. We're all this here. We're all that here. We're this. We're the. So they should accept me into their clique. It's like, no, doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. You know, I did not grow up as a witness. I grew up in a world where cliques develop, and they got their clique. We got our clique. I don't want to be in their clique.
I saw more cliques as a Jehovah's Witness than I did anywhere else.
Yeah.
Cliques based on whether or not you're in Bethel, your spirituality, whether or not you're a pioneer, everything.
That is so common. That is so. The only place there generally aren't cliques is like in the military, because everything is, structured and regimented, but even then there's cliques. But that attempts to eliminate them, because humans do this. It's a human tendency. It's normal.
Wow.
So you have to be really careful your view of the clique.
Well, when one door closes, one door opens.
Well,
there you go.
Yeah, I mean, you have to accept the fact, there must be a reason. But I'm not gonna What's that?
That's a Tagalog. Bahalakana means come what may. So
That's it.
Whatever comes your way.
Que sera, sera.
Well, que sera, sera,
But wait a minute. But wait a minute.
Cliques die too. They don't get along eventually.
But I take offense that they don't accept me. I take offense. It hurts me. Well.
Okay, well, put a Band-Aid on it.
See, just the point
I'm
is
sorry
this.
I'm hurt you. I'm sorry I hurted you. I'm sorry.
No, see, and just this, the point is this is such a natural human behavior for people to develop like that. And why they don't accept you or accept me into their clique, I really don't know.
They liked you once. I think they liked you once, but they're not perfect.
Right. So if we expect acceptance, that probably is the biggest problem. I'm looking for their acceptance. I need their acceptance. That's vulnerable. You're very vulnerable then. If you need their acceptance,
Right.
and that's a power you don't necessarily want to give somebody.
Mm-hmm.
It's like giving over your power. If you don't accept me, I'm going to be hurt, or maybe
What
I'm
about
going
your
to hate you.
parents? What if they don't accept you for who you are?
Well, that's not good.
Or you're,
This-
like that's difficult. Like,
Well, yeah, but that's totally different. And here they're supposed to protect you and nurture you.
that's not a clique. That's just family.
That's right.
That's just
That's right.
like biological relative kind of thing.
That's right.
I mean,
So this thing about this, think about it. Cliques aren't bad, but if you need to be accepted by that clique, then you're going to view it as bad. So you have to ask yourself, what am I looking for? What am I looking for that they have? Maybe there's more. Maybe I need to look elsewhere. Open my vision up.
So Annie just said, but purposely shunning someone is different.
No, that's different.
Yeah.
No.
Shunning
This
is meant to
different.
hurt. So
This is different.
that's not shunning.
Yeah.
Clicks are clicks.
Yeah.
Just an announcement for this weekend. Linda James needs a ride to the meetup in Orange County. If anybody's going to the meetup, Orange County, California, she needs a ride. She already asked 3 people so far. So anyone going, please let us know. We can give you Linda's Apasta Babes number.
California. Wow, that's the other side of where I live.
Yeah, so
I can't go there. I would love to pick you up though, but I that's like I think 5 days away or something. Like California is the east.
go either.
I'm on. Well, that's the west side. I'm on the east side.
I'm on the east too.
You got me laughing so much.
Oh, look at that cat. What's your cat's name?
That's beautiful.
Paul?
Oh, his name is Goozy. It's Italian.
Lucy.
He's a cutie.
Yeah, we
He's
ride
cute.
Moto Guzzi motorcycles that are made.
Oh,
in
it's a
Italy.
goose. That's
He's
very
His
good.
name is
Oh.
Guzzi if you're Italian.
Guzzi.
Guzzi. Oh, sure,
Guzzi.
sure.
So
Hey, I
whenever
gotta
we
add
see
something.
Shauna come on, it's time. She's going to wrap it up.
Okay.
Hi, Shauna.
You're muted.
Oh,
Sorry.
yes. The announcement for tonight. Anybody in the chat who hasn't already joined the Discord, please join it now. I just put a link in the description. We're going to have a movie night. The movie for tonight is called Stand By Me from 1986.
Wow.
Good movie.
That's a really good movie.
Yeah,
I've never heard of it, so we are going to have a great night. So if you guys want to join us and watch the movie, join the Discord server. It's called ExJWFriends, and I will post the link in the general chat. So all you have to do is click join, and it'll direct you to the movie room, and all of us are going to be watching the movie.
Cool.
Thank you,
Great.
Ruby.
And I'm going to end off this and thank people so much for your contribution, to keep considering each other for each other's needs, your own personal needs. And as Vern would say, keep living your life with love, even if you have to increase it. Because you may have to increase it. I love you all.
Thank you, Shauna. Thank you, Vern. We
Good
love
luck.
you all.
Good
Thank
luck.
you for all coming on.
And
Thank
love
you,
your
everyone.
stuff, too.
What everybody just
Bye.
said.
See you
and
this
a big-
weekend.
All right.
And a big,
Bye.
big
I
thank
hope you get a
you
ride,
to,
Linda.
I just want to thank Joe and Fran for being here again for everybody this week. They're lining up. They cannot wait for this Wednesday afternoon in your living room. So thank you guys very much.
And
Thank you, Shauna. Thank you,
Yeah.
Vern.
Good night.
Thank
Love
you,
you
Joe and
guys.
Fran.
Have
Thank
a great
you.
week, everybody. We'll see you next Wednesday.
Yeah.
Bye.
Okay,
for now.
love
Bye.
you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
In making friends.
Never slow up, no, I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up. I don't ever slow up, no, I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no, I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and
do, so instinctive and so passionate. Every word I move, so descriptive like an adjective. I got a vendetta against people who patented being negative when you should be getting after it. I got facts over tracks, this and that. Spitting slow, spitting fast, I could roast, I could gas. Think I'm okay at last, but I don't know if that can erase all the past. And the pettiness, a reflection of the emptiness. Hilarious, you think you're worth my time, you're delirious. Mysterious, because you hide behind a fake exterior. Inferior, you know I'll always be a bit superior. Get off of me, this ain't no humble brag. I want you to hear words, you can say them back. I want you to feel